At a PC Bang, gamers buzz about a new, difficult Kang Chiwoo map in the game Dungeon Craft. A player proudly announces he already hit first place on the new map, stunning his friend. The friend can't believe it, calling the map insane and proclaiming that the top player, Kang Chiwoo, isn't human. A young man in a hoodie overhears, cynically guessing that Kang Chiwoo must be using a bot to win so quickly. PFFT. His friend teases him, revealing the man in the hoodie is the legendary Kang Chiwoo himself. The friend then asks Kang Chiwoo why he still eats cheap PC Bang food when he makes so much money from gaming. Kang Chiwoo smirks, dodging the question by saying he just genuinely enjoys the food here. Checking the rankings, Kang Chiwoo boasts he's first again and tells his friend to get ready. His friend scoffs at his confidence, once again jokingly accusing him of being a bot. The word AI echoes in Kang Chiwoo's mind, and his expression turns intensely serious. He remembers the only place he feels alive is in the game, fighting dragons as a powerful knight. As they leave, Kang Chiwoo's friend reminds him to pay for their next meal, and he nonchalantly agrees. Walking home alone, Kang Chiwoo reflects on why he is so utterly obsessed with the game. He admits it's because in the real world, he feels he has no control over anything. He wistfully thinks how easy it would be if he could change reality with a click of his mouse. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted by a massive truck speeding directly toward him. He freezes, realizing with dawning horror that reality isn't a game. Unlike in his game, he cannot simply delete the danger rushing toward him. Whoosh. The truck screeches past, narrowly missing him at the crosswalk. Startled, Kang Chiwoo jokes to himself that he almost got isekai'd. Well, that's one way to get out of doing your taxes. The furious truck driver leans out his window, screaming at Kang Chiwoo for not looking where he was going. As Kang Chiwoo walks away, the driver is left confused, wondering when the traffic light even changed. Kang Chiwoo continues his musings, wishing he could edit the real world as easily as a game. If he could, he would create the perfect world he desires. Snap, a nearby crane cable breaks, and workers scream as a steel beam plummets from above. Kang Chiwoo looks up to see the beam falling directly toward a small girl holding a ball. His eyes widen in terror as the oblivious little girl is frozen in the path of the falling beam. In a split second, he lunges forward, shoving the child out of harm's way. The girl tumbles to the ground, shocked but safe. Crunch. The massive steel beam crushes Kang Chiwoo, killing him instantly as the little girl watches in horror. Huff huff as his vision fades. Kang Chiwoo's last thought is a bewildered question. He suddenly finds himself floating, alive and unharmed, in a mysterious purple void. Drifting in the darkness, he wonders if he's dead or trapped in a black hole. A flash of light pierces the void as he questions his own death. A disembodied voice calls him mortal, and he looks up, startled by its presence. He now faces a monstrous, smiling entity who welcomes him from the hell of oblivion to face reality. Kang Chiwoo furiously demands to know who the creature is and what the hell of oblivion is. The entity calmly explains that death is simply a means for reincarnation. As blue energy flows towards him, the entity offers to help him recall his lost memories. Make it make sense, he screams, completely lost and frustrated by the cryptic answers. Ignoring his pleas, the entity commands the oblivious one to open his eyes. A powerful force invades his mind, and he begs it to stop as his consciousness is overwhelmed. He jolts awake with a scream, now in the body of a horned young man in a suit. Dazed, he stands up and finds himself in a vast, unfamiliar stone castle. He looks around in disbelief, confirming he is inside a medieval castle. He stops, catching his shocking new appearance reflected in a window. Staring at his demonic features, he realizes this new body is his, and wonders if he survived death. The absurd thought crosses his mind. Did he actually get isekai'd like in an anime? He touches his face, feeling the sharp claws and horns, realizing this sensation is terrifyingly real. He once again takes in his surroundings, trying to grasp the reality of being inside an old castle. Gazing at his demonic reflection, the reincarnated Kang Chiwoo grapples with a terrifying question. Who am I? In a flash of confusion, his eyes widen as danger lunges toward him. A demonic girl with white pigtails viciously stabs him through the chest with a glowing blue dagger. Coughing up blood, he stares at the blade protruding from his chest, utterly bewildered by the sudden attack. With a sadistic grin, the demonic girl screams in exhilaration as she tears her blade through him. As he collapses, she looms over him, mockingly asking how he thinks he'll die. He clutches his chest in agony, realizing in horror that she pierced straight through his sternum. Coughing, he desperately asks what the attack was for, but his attacker plays dumb. She coolly states that she hates him and is trying to get rid of him, then lunges to strike again. Stunned by her casual malice, he can only react with shocked disbelief. Her blade is suddenly blocked by another, much larger sword. A sophisticated white-haired man holding a whip intervenes, and she furiously yells his name, Tarme. Calling her Seldera, Tarme calmly chides her for attacking their brother. Still bleeding on the ground, the reincarnated Kang Chiwoo is now even more confused. Who are these people? Tarme offers a bottle to the wounded boy, addressing him as Kella and noting that Seldera bullied him again. Assuming it's a healing potion, Kella gratefully chugs the entire bottle. Tarme smirks, finding it curious that Kella is drinking the potion so willingly today. Suddenly, Kella chokes, spitting out a thick purple liquid. That was no potion. His throat burns as he realizes with terror that he's been poisoned. Seldera looks on, annoyed that she won't get to kill him with her own hands. Tarme emotionlessly observes that while Kella is in pain, he won't die, deeming his poison recipe a failure. Racked with agony from both the stabbing and the poison, Kella cries out, wondering why he must suffer this torment. The grand doors to the hall swing open with a thud, revealing a bright, ominous light. An unseen guard announces the return of the Demon King, Hel Khaldun. As Seldera and Tarme note, their father is back early. The word father sends a jolt of shock through the tormented Kella. A hand clenches, crackling with dark energy. An imposing, muscular figure emerges from the light. The Demon King, Hel Khaldun. Hel Khaldun angrily demands to know why he's hearing vile noises. As Kella realizes this terrifying man is the Demon King, Seldera immediately tries to apologize and blame Kella for starting the commotion. Shut it! With a flash of power, Hel Khaldun silences both of them with his overwhelming presence. He declares it a humiliation for the moans of the weak to echo in his castle, causing Seldera to flinch and apologize. Tarme also bows his head, fearfully apologizing and begging for mercy. Kella watches in horror, a dreadful realization dawning on him. If these two are his siblings, then the ruthless Demon King is his father. The Demon King states he only wishes to hear two sounds, a great demon being born and the sound of honorable death. A scream echoes from the castle. Hel Khaldun walks silently down a great hall, past the littered bodies of the slain. Kella coughs, still writhing from the poison and the brutal attack. He collapses to the ground, weak and overwhelmed. He looks up, his mind reeling from the impossible revelation. Gasping in pain, he can't escape the fact that he's somehow related to this monster. It had to be the Demon King of all people. A memory surfaces of a beautiful demonic woman remarking, "Oh no." That must have hurt. A much younger Kella cries, telling her that Tarm poisoned his food. The woman smiles coldly, telling him he should pay them back, like a true demon. The young Kella protests fearfully, saying Seldera and Tarme might kill him if he does. Her smile widens as she offers a simple, chilling solution. He just needs to kill them first. She explains that his father, the Demon King, killed 12 of his own brothers to seize the throne, driving home her point. The memory fades with her final, haunting advice echoing in his mind. His mother's memory concludes with her cold advice, he must act like a true demon. A young Kella cries out for his mother, horrified by her cruel words. Ugh. The memory shatters as he screams himself awake in his new room. A gray-haired demon attendant stands over him, asking if he's finally awake. He realizes those were the memories of Hel Khaldun, the body he now inhabits. To his surprise, he discovers that the stab wound and poison have completely healed. He learns that Kella's body possesses incredible regenerative abilities. The attendant informs Lord Kella that he's been asleep for quite some time. She tells him to get up for the family meal, and he meekly agrees. A narrative confirms the original Kella was timid and despised by his siblings. The attendant presents him with formal wear, but he is confused, saying a servant usually dresses his brother. When she slyly offers to help dress him, he panics and insists on doing it himself. She then orders him to clean a blanket, but he protests that this is her job as his servant. Dressed, Kella fumes, finding it pathetic that a demon lord's son is being intimidated by a mere servant. A new resolve hardens his expression as he embraces his new identity. He realizes this world is no different from his past life. Those who look weak will die. He approaches the dining hall, ready to face his demonic family. The Demon King glares at him, coldly stating, "You're late, Kella." Kella feels the overwhelming pressure of his father's presence, understanding why he is the Demon King. He takes his seat and formally apologizes for his tardiness. Crash! The moment he sits, Seldera violently kicks him away from the table as a twisted welcome. Cue. He groans in pain from the sudden brutal attack. Seldera mockingly tells him to eat more, as another attendant smirks behind her. Furious, he forces himself to eat, trying to keep his composure and hide who he really is. Suddenly, he realizes with dawning horror that the food is poisoned. Tarme smirks, revealing the poisoned soup was a special gift just for him. Fighting the poison's effects, he forces himself to agree that it's delicious. He glares at his sadistic family, realizing they are not family, but monsters. In that moment, he disowns them in his mind. They are not his family. He vows to stop being their victim and decides he must finally do something. He recalls how his dominant mindset made him the strongest map designer in his game. But that confidence vanished when facing real-world bullies in his past life. In reality, he was utterly powerless to defend himself. He remembers his own death, a moment of ultimate helplessness where he never got a chance to act. A mistake he won't make again, his eyes narrow with cold fury. A sinister smile spreads across his face as he picks up a dish, calling Seldera's name, Kia. He shoves the poisoned soup into Seldera's face, giving her a taste of her own medicine. He then turns to Tarme, pulling out a bloody dagger and announcing he has a present for him too. He viciously stabs Tarme, calling it a return gift from Seldera. The Demon King watches the chaos unfold, utterly stunned by Kella's sudden violence. Kella stands defiantly, asking his father why demons should pretend to have a happy family meal. With a roar, he flips the entire dining table, declaring their family gatherings are over. His father and siblings can only stare back in shocked fury. "Let's see who wins this, you demons," he declares, a crazed grin on his face. The scene shifts to an outside view of the stone castle. Kella smirks, thinking his rebellion felt great, even though his father beat him half to death for it. Yet, thanks to his regeneration, he's already sitting outside, fully recovered from the punishment. As he examines his hand, he senses a strange, unfamiliar power flowing within him. He smirks, finally accepting the truth. He really is the Demon Lord's son. With his new reality and power embraced, he sits with a look of grim determination. The gray-haired attendant reminds Lord Kella about his demonic power lesson, but he coldly tells her to stop ordering him around. Stunned by his defiance, she inwardly questions his sudden change in behavior. Kella sits outside, contemplating the upcoming lesson on demonic power. He recalls from Kella's memories that this lesson is one of his worst experiences. The scene shifts to a large, desolate training ground outside the castle. As he arrives, he recognizes the group of demonic bullies awaiting him. He remembers their smug faces from Kella's memories of past torment. A flashback shows a younger, terrified Kella pleading that he can't fight his red-haired tormentor. The red-haired bully smirks, saying it can't be helped as he summons purple magic, Kuog, declaring it a lesson. The bully brutally strikes Kella, who screams in agony. In the memory, the other students laugh cruelly at Kella's suffering. Even his siblings, Seldera and Tarme, are visible among the jeering crowd. Seldera taunts the bully, asking if he's going too easy on her brother. The bully eagerly thanks Lady Seldera, ready to inflict more pain on the fallen Kella. As the bully prepares another attack, the original Kella desperately begs him to stop. The memory ends with his desperate cries, pleading that he doesn't want to fight. Back in the present, Kella grits his teeth, realizing the original wasn't weak. Clenching his fist, he understands that the boy just had a soft heart. He declares that everything's different now as a powerful aura shatters the air around him. With a determined, sinister grin, he vows to use his new strength properly. An elderly demon teacher asks who was sparring during the last class. The red-haired bully smugly steps forward, answering that he and Kella were. He mockingly apologizes for not addressing Kella with his proper title. Kella seethes with rage at the blatant disrespect from the bully. The teacher announces the start of their second spar as the two face off. The bully, rude, crackles his purple magic and smugly asks if Kella is ready. The crowd jeers, expecting Kella to be beaten again and telling Rude not to make him cry. Kella glares back at the mocking crowd, his eyes filled with contempt. Rude grins wickedly, anticipating another easy victory. Kella reflects that, in many ways, he and this bully are quite similar. He remembers his past life, where he was the one ostracized and beaten by bullies. The memory of his own battered, helpless face flashes before his eyes, but that's all in the past, he thinks, as a massive torrent of blue mana erupts from his body. Root is stunned, questioning how the weak Kella could possibly possess so much mana. The other students look on in shock, wondering if the overwhelming power is real. Hike! Root realizes in terror that he can't move, paralyzed by the immense pressure. Kella declares he'll go easy on him and tells him to just take one hit. He lunges forward, his fist crackling with concentrated blue energy. Kayak! He lands a single, devastating blow that sends Rude flying. The crowd stares in disbelief, shocked that Rude couldn't even react to the attack. The teacher watches in horror, nervously wondering if Kella just killed him. Hack Rude lies on the ground, his face a bloody pulp, gasping for air. Kella looms over him, demanding to know how he dares speak to the Demon King's son that way. Sobbing in terror, the beaten bully begs Sir Kella to forgive him. With cold eyes, Kella warns him to never make such a mistake in front of him again. The onlookers tremble, unable to comprehend how the loser Kella became so powerful. Kella turns to the teacher, who stammers in fear. With a menacing grin, Kella asks if they shouldn't continue with class, terrifying the teacher. From a distance, the gray-haired attendant watches, her mouth agape in shock at Sir Kella's transformation. The gray-haired attendant concludes that Sir Kella is definitely weird. From a high balcony, the Demon King silently observes from a distance. As another view of the castle appears, a furious voice vows they can't forgive him. Elsewhere, Seldera and Tarme receive treatment in a healing bath, with Seldera fuming over Kella throwing poison soup at her, while Tarme urges her to be calm. Tarme reminds his sister that, unlike Kella, she doesn't possess his frightening regenerative ability. Seldera explodes with rage, demanding to know why Kella is the only one with such a power. Tarme calmly notes that it seems Kella has undergone a significant change. A flashback to the chaotic dinner shows Kella furiously declaring that family meals are now separate. The Demon King, Seldera, and Tarme are shown reacting with stunned fury. Tarme recalls how their father actually smiled for a moment, for the first time in their lives. Seldera remembers the moment with utter disbelief. Ache! She screams in the bath, infuriated that their father would smile for someone like Kella. Tarme sits back and agrees that their father's reaction was not normal. Seldera snaps at him, demanding to know what he is getting at. Tarme notes that she would probably rather die than join forces with him. He then proposes a truce, suggesting they team up to take care of Kella together. A sinister grin spreads across Seldera's face as she considers the offer. They both come to a murderous agreement. First, they'll kill Kella. Back in the classroom, Kella's eyes flash with a feral, demonic power. The teacher with glasses begins a lecture on the history of a mighty, three-eyed demon warrior. Kella is taken aback, thinking the warrior in the projection looks incredibly demonic. The teacher explains that Sir Turk, the strongest of his time, was killed by a cowardly scheme from the Heaven Guild. He continues, explaining that since then, opportunistic guilds have been gathering near their kingdom. Kella realizes that the original Kella's memories contain information about these surrounding guilds. He recalls a memory of the original Kella despairing over the encroaching guild bastards. In the memory, the original Kella laments that he can't even escape the castle. Damn! He collapses against a wall, crushed by the thought of being trapped there forever. In the present, Kella's expression hardens with resolve. The teacher announces that the guilds, led by the Heaven Guild, are preparing an attack on the kingdom. He rallies the students, telling them to train hard in combat class to help King Hell wipe out their enemies. The entire class erupts, roaring yes for the honor of the demons, while Kella remains silent and detached. Kella sits quietly, absorbing the gravity of the situation. Later, sitting on the castle roof with his attendant, he decides he needs to find a way out. He reflects that with his family plotting against him, he could die at any time. He turns to his attendant, Rin, asking her to confirm that his father will be away in 3 days, which she does. Kella suddenly stands, announcing the castle has a weakness, startling Rin with his abruptness. He reveals the kingdom's flaw. They have no map architect to weaponize the terrain. He visualizes how the guilds are exploiting the neglected territories to surround them from all sides. Standing on the ledge, He declares his intention to map out the entire area himself. With a sinister smirk, he vows to help his father annihilate every last one of their enemies. He decides it's time to prepare his real escape. His eyes gleam with manic energy as he announces it's time to officially begin escaping. He realizes that since this is different from reality, he can create the map exactly as he wants. He whirls around and orders a stunned Rin to create a secret office in the castle basement immediately. He shouts that he needs a private space to work without his father discovering his plans. Elsewhere, King Hell senses a disturbance while meditating. He opens his eyes, declaring that Kella cannot escape his sight. He decides he needs to confirm something before it's too late. Kella stares in disgust at the dusty, cluttered room Rin has prepared. As Rin explains it's the office he ordered, Kella fumes, asking what kind of office this is for the Demon King's son. As Rin tearfully explains it was the best she could do in secret, Kella furiously demands she do her job properly. He calmly reflects that he must be fierce with her sometimes, as she cowers in fear. Rin thinks to herself that he's scary, and not the same Kella she once knew. Despite her fear, she blushes, thinking her new, cooler master makes her want to work there. He then barks an order for coffee, sending a flustered Rin scurrying away to comply. Looking over a crude map, Kella laments that the Demon King's castle has no hopes or dreams. With renewed purpose, he declares it's time to create his own map. Meanwhile, a confused Rin stops in her tracks, wondering what on earth coffee is. Suddenly, the Demon King appears and startles Rin, asking why she's in the basement without Kella. He sternly demands to know Kella's current location. Trembling, Rin stammers as the Demon King's piercing gaze demands an answer, and she desperately recalls Kella's request to keep his location a secret. In his hidden office, Kella works on the map with a sinister grin, finding the whole endeavor fun. A vision of heroic figures and a dragon, likely from the Heaven Guild, flashes through his mind. As he draws, he pauses, lost in thought for a brief moment. A memory of a sinister brown-haired man from his past life appears behind him. Crash! The door to his secret office is blasted open by a surge of power, shocking Kella. The Demon King stands furiously in the doorway, demanding to know why Kella created a secret office without his permission. Kella panics, wondering how his father, Hell, could have possibly found him. Kook! In an instant, the Demon King impales Kella, his hand bursting through his son's chest. Holding his son close, the Demon King coldly tells him to stop hiding and come for him directly if he wants to kill him. Gasping in pain, Kella marvels at the devastating power of his father's attack. The terrifying realization hits him. He's actually going to die. In a last-ditch effort, he frantically shoves his completed map at his father, screaming for him to look. The Demon King holds his bleeding son aloft, unimpressed, and asks what he's looking at. Kella struggles to explain that the castle's outskirts are a huge disadvantage against the guilds. He insists that if they change the geography according to his map, it will give them an edge. With his last breath, he claims it will be a great help in the coming battles. Kua. He coughs up a massive spray of blood from the fatal wound. Standing over his collapsed son, the Demon King asks why he created a secret office for this. Kella explains he knew his father would never have let him help otherwise. That's why, he clarifies, he had to complete the map first to prove his plan's worth. The Demon King listens silently, his expression cold and unreadable. Kella declares that as the Demon King's son, he wants to help exterminate heaven. The two lock eyes, a moment of tense understanding passing between father and son. Watching from the doorway, Rin panics, certain Kella's audacity will get him killed. The Demon King extends a bloody hand, asking how long it will take to finish the map. Overjoyed that his father understands, Kella triumphantly declares 5 days is all he needs. The Demon King informs him that Heaven's forces are reassembling in only 3 days. He points out that Kella's map will be useless by the time it's finished. Kella's eyes burn with intensity as he boldly corrects him. Not 5 days, but 5 hours. The Demon King's eyes widen in genuine surprise at his son's impossible claim. Kella passionately pleads his case, stating they can finish construction before the battle if he is put in command of the plan. A slow, dangerous smile spreads across the Demon King's face as he agrees to let him try. As he turns to leave, he offers a chilling warning about the consequences of failure. He promises to rip both Kella and his map to shreds if he's all talk. Kella watches him go, bloodied but alive, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. The Demon King exits the secret room, leaving his son to his task. With a bloody, triumphant wink, Kella celebrates his victory. He did it. Bleg, the adrenaline fades, and he immediately collapses, vomiting a pool of blood. He reflects in shock that his father was truly going to kill him if he proved useless. Rin marvels that Kella actually succeeded in convincing the Great Demon King. As Kella collapses from his wound, later, Kella, now bandaged, stands grimly over his map with a shocked Rin beside him. As per Kella's plan, the Demon King's forces gather and begin extensive construction around the castle. Hooded mages cast powerful spells in unison, reshaping the very landscape. Kella smirks, remembering his past self as he relishes that everything is going according to his plan. Elsewhere, Heaven Guildmaster Hermison learns of the demon's activity, asking in shock if they are transforming the terrain. His subordinate reports they've discovered the demons were deceiving them with powerful illusion magic. The subordinate asks if they should attack to stop them, but Hermison silently ponders what the demons are up to. After a moment of thought, he firmly decides against it. A new threat is revealed. Tarkan, the strongest squad in Talua, is coming in just 3 days. The narration confirms that the elite squad, comprised of imposing black-armored knights, is now finally complete. Hermison laughs maniacally, certain that King Hell's hastily prepared defenses can't beat a squad decades in the making. The Tarkan squad's leader, riding a red dragon, rallies his army, announcing they'll reach the Demon King's castle in 2 days. He roars that the millennia-long reign of the Great Demon King's generation will finally be over. Another warrior leads the charge, screaming for his forces to burn the Demon King's castle to the ground. A soldier praises General Killman's incredible leadership as he flies overhead. The young soldier excitedly asks his commander, Shrills, if they will truly succeed in hunting down the Demon King. Commander Shrills grins ferociously, boasting that their Tarkan squad is far superior to any other guild. The dragon soars over a craggy, foreboding landscape, closing in on its destination. Meanwhile, Demon King Hell sits on his throne, acknowledging that Kella wasn't bluffing about the map. He concedes that while the plan isn't perfect, his own body is nearing its limits, and he can no longer afford to be picky. With grim determination, he resolves that tomorrow is the day he finally settles things with Heaven. Back on the castle walls, mages work frantically, ordered to move quickly as time runs short. Below, demon laborers are also urged to work faster, their pickaxes striking stone with furious purpose. Kella and Rin observe from a window, and he coolly notes that it's all progressing as planned. He reflects that this feels far more real and significant than simply making a map in a game. With his arms crossed, Kella thinks all he needs to do is wait for the fated battle between Hell and Heaven. A bead of sweat forms as he focuses, knowing tomorrow is the big day. The Tarkan squad arrives in a triumphant display, cheered on by a massive army. General Killman reports to Guildmaster Hermison, declaring the Tarkan squad is ready to defeat the Demon King. Hermison roars with excitement, ordering an immediate assault on the Demon King's castle. Killman raises his fist and lets out a battle cry, vowing to bring victory to Talua. Rah! Suddenly, a glowing blue magical circle activates beneath their army's feet. Confused, Guildmaster Hermison and his men stare at the ground, wondering what's happening. Killman panics, shouting in alarm. He quickly realizes it's a surprise attack and orders his troops into a defensive formation. An immense pillar of blue energy erupts from the ground, engulfing the unprepared soldiers. The knights raise their magic shields, and Killman stares in shock at the power of the ambush. Hermison's subordinate can only watch in utter disbelief, thinking this is impossible. From the chaotic energy, the dark, horned silhouette of a massive figure begins to emerge. The figure's intimidating horned visage solidifies from the light. It's the Demon King, Hel Khaldun, who has teleported directly to them, leaving his enemies stunned by his sudden appearance. In a flashback, Kella explains to his father that he has removed the barrier Heaven used for surveillance. He declares that his father can now use teleportation magic without being detected by the enemy. Back on his throne, the Demon King muses over the idea of teleporting directly into Heaven's base. Seldera and Tarme frantically protest, warning their father that such a move is too dangerous, even for him. The Demon King's eyes narrow menacingly as he asks if they are doubting the power of the Demon King. His children recoil in terror, trying to explain that he hasn't fully recovered from his injuries yet. He commands their silence, declaring that he alone will make the final decision. Surrounded by an aura of raw power, the Demon King vows to kill every single one of his enemies. General Killman roars in fury, shouting that the Demon King caught them off guard. Gritting his teeth, he swears they will make the Demon King regret coming here, proudly declaring they are the Tarkan squad. Killman orders the Tarkan squad to commence a full-scale attack. The Demon King gazes forward, his expression cold and resolved amidst the surging energy. Kua. A massive explosion of blue energy erupts from the Demon King's position. Meanwhile, Kella stands atop a castle wall, looking down upon his assembled forces. He notes with satisfaction that he has gathered all the necessary troops. With a fierce expression, he declares that all preparations are finally complete. Kella commands his demon army to charge into battle. The demonic horde surges forward, ready for a fight. A soldier from Heaven's forces shouts in alarm that the demon castle's army is charging them. Kurga. He cries out in shock as monstrous demons burst from the ground, realizing they are also coming from below. The soldier is overwhelmed by the ambush, screaming for his allies to stop the demons from reaching heaven. Watching the chaos unfold, Kella calmly thinks to himself that everything is going exactly according to his plan, a sinister grin spreading across his face. Suddenly, Saldera and Tarme confront Kella, with Tarme stating he wouldn't have done this if Kella hadn't crossed the line. Kella recoils in shock, recognizing his siblings, Caldera and Tarme. A smirking Tarme unleashes a torrent of crackling green energy. Kurg! The blast impales Kella, piercing straight through his chest. Krije close-up shows the glowing green hand bursting through Kella's torso. Ea Kella screams in agony, staring down at the hand that has fatally wounded him. Sildera taunts him, saying even his insane recovery rate won't save him from this. In a flash, Seldera decapitates Kella with a single, brutal slash. His siblings Seldera and Tarme cackle with malevolent glee at their apparent victory. Kella's severed head is seen, his eyes wide with utter shock and disbelief. As his life fades, Kella's severed head realizes with dawning horror that this is how it ends. The same realization echoes in his final moment of consciousness. Kella's headless body and severed head plummet from the castle wall. His head hits the stone ground with a final, choked gasp. Seldera and Tarme stand over his body, with Seldera declaring they've finally sliced Kella's head off, and now they can go help their father. Tarme's victorious expression turns to shock as a blue energy blade suddenly appears. In a stunning betrayal, Seldera stabs Tarme, sneering that she found his weak spot. Withdrawing her bloody dagger, Seldera mockingly praises Tarme for being so quick-witted. Tarme stares in horror at the weapon, realizing it's their mother's forbidden dagger. Seldera scoffs, stating that as demons, they don't care about rules, because weapons are made to be used. Tarme shouts in disbelief and rage, unable to comprehend her betrayal. Seldera coldly explains her reasoning. If she kills him, she'll be the only one remaining. Her face twists with ambition as she declares she'll be the only successor left. Enraged by her treachery, Tarme lunges forward, screaming that he is going to kill her. Seldera meets his charge with equal fury, ready for a final, deadly confrontation. The two siblings clash in a blinding burst of power, screaming for the other to die. On the ground below, Kella's severed head watches the brutal spectacle. He looks on in grim fascination, wondering how they can be so demonic. He muses that they are just as vicious and conniving as he had imagined them to be. The scene shows Kella's headless corpse lying in a pool of his own blood. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears and lifts Kella's decapitated body with a strange red energy. It's Rin, who carefully reattaches Kella's head to his neck. Straddling his body, a terrified but determined Rin holds his head in place, blood covering her hands. A disembodied voice echoes through the air, ordering them to run toward a secret pathway in the mountains. A disembodied voice orders a flanking maneuver, and a demon army charges through a magical portal to attack Heaven from behind. However, Heaven's knights are already waiting, with one boasting they knew all the demons' tactics, shocking the ambushers. A female commander for Heaven's forces rallies her troops, ordering them not to let a single demon live. A horned demon commander roars for his soldiers to fight for their honor, regardless of whether their plan was discovered. The battle erupts in a blinding flash of energy as the narration declares there is no going back now. General Killman's Red Dragon, Philly, charges a massive fireball in its maw. The dragon unleashes a devastating torrent of fiery breath upon the battlefield. Demon King Hell stands unfazed by the blast, calmly noting it's been a while since he's faced a dragon's breath. Kiarg! With terrifying speed, the Demon King viciously punches the dragon straight in the jaw. In a shower of blood, he savagely rips the dragon's jaw clean off with his bare hands. General Killman screams in fury and anguish, crying out that the Demon King killed his beloved dragon, Philly. Heaven's forces prepare a counterattack as a commander orders them to unleash all their magic at once. The demon hordes continue their relentless charge, undeterred by the opposition. Surrounded by chaos, Demon King Hell gathers an immense amount of crackling blue energy. After the magical onslaught, General Killman peers through the smoke, cautiously asking if they managed to defeat him. The young soldier from earlier frantically shouts that it's not over yet. The Demon King emerges from the dust, transformed into his monstrous and imposing final form. General Killman recognizes the transformation from historical texts, as Commander Shrill shouts in horror that it's the Demon King's final form. The young soldier stammers to Commander Shrill's, feeling his body trembling uncontrollably. Shrill screams at her troops to focus and overcome their fear. General Killman curses, staring down the overwhelming presence of the transformed Demon King. He grits his teeth, admitting that even he is shivering, making it understandable that his troops are paralyzed with fear. The Demon King silently reflects that there was one downside to Kella's plan. He knew that while teleporting into Heaven's base was effective, it meant they were trapped with no way out. The Demon King confirms this was the only flaw in the entire strategy. But as the Demon King, he felt it was beneath him to bring up such a concern. He stares down his enemies, believing the Demon King shouldn't need to worry about an escape route. He smirks, wondering if Kella had perhaps taken this into consideration as well. He dismisses the thought, deciding it's not important right now. He resolves to simply kill every single enemy before him. General Killman realizes the Demon King intends to go all out in his final form. He bellows at his soldiers, commanding them to put their lives on the line and give the battle everything they have. The Demon King's eye flares with golden light, ready to unleash his full power. A cataclysmic explosion of red and blue energy engulfs the battlefield as the two sides clash. In a flashback, a bloodied Kella is held by Rin, pleading with her. Rin cries out desperately, begging him to hold on. A disembodied voice expresses disgust, asking when Rin is going to get used to this sight. Ugh. Kella complains about the pain from his severed arm as Rin works to reattach it. He successfully reattaches his arm, flexing his hand and noting that his regeneration worked again. Kella then states he needs to test if he can reattach his head, which horrifies Rin, who calls him insane. He calmly instructs her to cut his head carefully, but she adamantly refuses. Back in his uniform, Kella smirks, deciding that's enough experimentation for now. He instructs Rin to go to Seldera's servant and pass on a message, telling her to make it sound natural. Seldera's horned servant reacts with fury, incensed that Kella would dare to plot such a thing. She and another servant conspire, confident their own plan will kill Kella, no matter how fast he recovers. Returning to the present, Rin holds the dying Kella, telling him his sacrifice will be meaningless if he dies now. Kella looks up at her, bloodied but calm, and asks if she's calling him an idiot. Rin screams Kella's name in sudden terror. With a bloody and triumphant smirk, Kella declares that since he survived, everything is still going exactly according to his plan. With a bloody and triumphant smirk, Kella declares that since he survived, everything is still going exactly according to his plan. Wah! Overwhelmed, Rin begins to cry. Rin throws her arms around Kella, sobbing with relief that he's alive. Flustered by the sudden hug, Kella comically tries to bite her head while demanding to know what she's doing. Pushing her away, a flustered Kella tells her to stop, announcing that he's leaving now that he's survived. He holds up a glowing pink orb, vowing to grant them their freedom. Stunned and touched, Rin whispers his name in disbelief. Kella informs Rin that their contract is now officially over. He turns away with a faint smirk, telling her to finally live her own life. Surrounded by a shimmering blue aura, Kella begins to walk away. Sobbing, Rin can't hold back her tears as he departs. She suddenly dashes after him, begging him to take her along, but he angrily tells her not to follow. As they argue in a tunnel, Rin insists on going with him, while Kella yells that she'll only get in the way. On the battlefield, a bloody General Killman looks up in defeat, calling Demon King Hell Khaldun a monster. A gruesome close-up shows the Demon King's jaw, torn open and dripping blood. Killman stares in awe, wondering how the Demon King can possibly remain standing in such a horrific state. Staring at his foe's unwavering resolve, Killman realizes he's facing the great demon himself. He grits his teeth, admitting with frustration that he cannot defeat him. The Demon King declares that no matter who it is, no human can stop this disaster. He falls into a moment of silent contemplation. He gazes upon the field of fallen heaven's knights, noting they've been nearly wiped out. His gaze then shifts to the fallen demon hordes, adding that his own soldiers have suffered the same fate. His thoughts turn to his children, Caldera and Tarme. And then his thoughts turn to Kella. The Demon King closes his eyes, accepting that his children are not coming to help him after all. His eye flares with golden light as he resolves that this was always his fight to begin with. He declares that now everything will end as a cataclysmic blast of purple energy erupts. Meanwhile, Kella and Rin continue their desperate run through the secret passage. They spot a bright exit ahead, with Kella realizing it's the escape route, free from the Demon Castle's surveillance. His eyes gleam with excitement as he thinks about the freedom that awaits him just beyond the exit. Rin suddenly screams for him to hold on, her face filled with terror. A maelstrom of crackling blue energy blocks their path. Rin shoves Kella aside as a vortex of dark magic erupts before them. Snarling, they both realize they smell the strong scent of blood. A hooded figure appears, correctly identifying Hel Khaldun's son, and musing that he's just a parent trying to evacuate his children. 3 cloaked mages block their path, confirming they were right to stake out the passage. Kella curses, realizing they've been ambushed by a surveillance team at the secret exit. The enemy mages declare they knew about the tunnel's construction and vow that no member of the Demon King's family will survive. The lead mage orders the attack, and his team unleashes a volley of light magic. Rin leaps in front of Kella, erecting a magical barrier and telling him to run while she holds them off. Kella stares in disbelief, questioning what she could possibly do alone against them. Rin fiercely declares that as his servant, her absolute priority is to protect him. Kella recalls with dread that Rin can only manage simple defense magic and is terrible with attack spells. He realizes with horror that Rin is planning to sacrifice herself so he can escape. Bracing for the attack, Rin frantically yells for Kella to hurry up and leave. Murmuring her name, Kella reaches out and grabs her. "Oh-wah." He furiously throws Rin over his shoulder, shouting at her for trying to act so strong. Kella glares back, warning her that if she insists on following, she better not die, because it will piss him off. Rin is left utterly speechless by his unexpected declaration. A mage from the surveillance team mocks Kella, calling him an idiot for trapping himself with no escape route. The lead mage scoffs that middle-class magic is enough for Kella and orders his team to kill him. Kella grits his teeth, recalling how everyone thought him timid and weak, never showing his true capabilities. Unleashing a torrent of blue energy, he roars that everything they think they know about him is a lie. Rin watches in utter shock, stunned by Master Kella's sudden display of immense power. Impossible. The lead mage stammers in disbelief, having thought Kella's mana was low rank. Kella slams one of the mages to the ground with a devastating blue-flamed attack. Kurg. Holding the downed mage, Kella taunts him, suggesting he should check his sources more carefully. He then grabs the lead mage by the face as the man desperately begs him to hold on. Kurga. Kella furiously smashes the mage's head into the stone floor with overwhelming force. Ugh. The lead mage lies broken and defeated, his eyes rolled back. No way Rin is speechless, realizing he defeated a heavens mage using only his own mana. The remaining mages are terrified, protesting that Kella is supposed to be a powerless wimp. Kella calmly informs them their intel is wrong, as Rin watches from behind, still in awe. Cornered, the 2 remaining mages declare they have no choice but to use the light spear spell. They know using this all-or-nothing attack requires every last bit of their mana. Realizing their lives are on the line, they summon massive spears of pure light energy. No, Rin screams for her master to get back, desperately rushing to shield him. She leaps in front of Kella, bracing herself as the light spears hurtle towards them. The attack hits, and Kella grunts in pain, discovering that his body is completely paralyzed. Rin looks back with tearful eyes, apologizing that she couldn't protect him as a spear pierces her. Gasping in relief, the mages celebrate that their attack landed perfectly. One of them raises his staff, declaring that this is Kella's end. His companion stops him, suggesting they deserve a little reward for all their trouble. The leering mage grabs Rin's chin, asking if she'd be fun to play with, as she calls them scumbags. Enraged, Rin shouts that she knows about all the horrible things they've done to the demons. Eek! The mage puts a knife to her throat, telling her to shut up so he can play with her. Kella watches in fury, disgusted that the humans of this world also treat people like objects. The mage decides to kill the Demon King's little baby first, turning his glowing staff on Kella. Kella thinks in despair that the exit was right there, unable to believe he's going to die. His eyes burn with rage, remembering he was nearly at the threshold of freedom. Die! The mage lunges forward, bringing his weapon down for the final blow. Master Kella, Rin screams in absolute terror. The weapon impales Kella through the head, and he can only think, huh? His eye flares with purple light as he senses a strange feeling. He wonders what the feeling is, sensing someone's presence. A vision of his father, Demon King Hel Khaldun, appears before him as he cries out for help. Kella frantically wonders if his father has already finished his great battle. In the vision, the Demon King looks down grimly, lamenting that his plan has been ruined. He tells Kella that he has fought countless battles and considered every possibility. Kella, lost in the vision, asks what his father is talking about. The Demon King explains that Seldera is too inconsiderate of her fellow demons to be the next ruler. And he continues that Tarme, while skilled, doesn't have the ambition to become the Demon King. Kella furiously shouts that he doesn't care about them and demands to know how his father is there. His father reveals a Demon King's final ability, to pass his mana down to his bloodline before dying. What Kella is struck with shocked disbelief at the revelation. The Demon King declares that in their short time together, he has seen that Kella is the best candidate. Flailing in the void, Kella desperately denies it, yelling that his father is mistaken. Demon King Hel Khaldun looks upon his son with grim resolution. He declares he will pass down all the mana left in his body to his son. A torrent of dark, powerful mana flows from the Demon King directly into the helpless Kella. As the mana surges into him, Kella screams in horrified protest, begging his father to stop. The vision of Demon King Hel Khaldun addresses his son Kella, commanding him not to mourn his death. With a final grim look, the Demon King imparts his last words. He commands Kella to be like a true demon. The vision fades, revealing the Demon King's severed head lying on the blood-soaked battlefield. On the battlefield, a red-haired warrior stares at the fallen bodies of General Killman and the Demon King. A surviving soldier grieves, realizing General Killman sacrificed himself for this victory. The red-haired warrior screams in anguish over the general's death. The surrounding soldiers are stunned, barely able to comprehend that Hel Khaldun is truly dead. Cries of victory erupt across the battlefield as the news spreads the Demon King is dead. The light fades from the Demon King's eye as the humans declare themselves the victors. Uag. Meanwhile, back in the tunnel, Kella screams as the overwhelming power floods his body. Rin, now healed, watches in shock, realizing his new mana was strong enough to disperse the light spear. The mages panic, wondering how his mana could have increased so suddenly and dramatically. Kella grins with newfound power, his horns now visible, as he mutters his father's name. Elsewhere, the demon Tarme senses his father's death, realizing Hel Khaldun is gone. Kella clutches his head, struggling to contain the immense power now coursing through him. Realizing they are out of mana, the terrified mages decide they must flee immediately. With glowing eyes and a determined expression, Kella orders Rin to move aside. Facing the mages, Kella feels the endless void of darkness his father gave him as they plead for their lives. Smirking, Kella repeats their slurred demon before angrily demanding what they said to Rin earlier. A torrent of dark power erupts from his hand. Kuwa. He unleashes his fury, declaring that they are the real demons as he assaults one of the mages. With overwhelming force, he smashes them both into the stone walls of the passage. Kyuk! The two mages lie broken and defeated on the floor. Kella stands victorious, cloaked in his father's power, as Rin watches in stunned silence. He grits his teeth, acknowledging that his body is straining and can't handle this much power yet. Turning to Rin, he asks if she can move, and she confirms she can. Kella takes the lead, determined to escape while he still can. As they reach the glowing exit, Kella thanks his father, realizing this power is his ticket out. Stepping into the light, he marvels that he is finally free. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he imagines the life of freedom he can now live. Suddenly, a strange blue light envelops his body, and Rin recognizes the phenomenon with alarm. She screams in shock, identifying the light as a teleportation spell. Kella looks around in confusion, powerless against the sudden magic. He is violently pulled away by the spell's overwhelming force. Rin can only watch in horror as he is whisked away. The teleportation spell carries them from the demon castle across the sea to the mainland. A pillar of light marks their abrupt arrival in a new land. Kella and Rin appear in a flash of light, both looking disoriented by the sudden journey. They stand together, tense and on guard in the unfamiliar territory. Rin looks around the peaceful forest, murmuring her master's name in confusion. Kella explains it was an alarm spell his father placed on his children in case of his death. Rin is astonished to find that all her wounds, including the spear wound, have completely healed. Kella surmises they were likely held within the teleportation space for 3 days. He deduces that their father purposely designed the spell to heal them during an emergency. Rin is amazed, realizing the spell was for both healing and teleportation. Kella reflects that for his father to go to such lengths, he truly was a parent after all. Rin soberly asks if this means the Demon King has truly passed away, and Kella confirms it. With a confident smirk, Kella thinks to himself that his father's death was just as he had planned. Rin passionately pleads with Kella, urging him to become the next Demon King. Kella turns away in surprise, questioning why he would ever want such a thing. Rin insists that after seeing his recent display of power, she realized he is the only one fit to be the true Demon King. With conviction, she declares that she will serve him until he takes the throne. Kella looks on, flustered, thinking to himself that she is seriously misunderstanding something. Sighing, he reluctantly agrees, reasoning that he could use the help right now. Rin suddenly panics, shouting for him to hold on. As they approach a magnificent castle, she asks in shock where they are. Rin explains this is Arsel, the magic country that exists solely to train mages to defeat demons. A banner proclaims the death of Demon King Hel Khaldun and celebrates the glory of Talua. Whoa, Kella and Rin stare in horror with Kella shouting about being sent to the worst possible place. Panicking, Kella warns that they'll be in grave danger if they are discovered here. Rin quickly suggests using transformation magic to hide their identities and begins to cast a spell. Kella agrees, and he too transforms, now disguised in a simple cloak. Now cloaked, Kella asks Rin to tell him everything she knows about this place as they walk through the city. The scene shifts to a wide view of the city of Arsel, with its distinctive blue-roofed architecture. Rin explains that Arsel is blessed by a giant sea cryptid known as Watergore. This blessing led to the flourishing of magic and the rise of many powerful mages. She reveals that Arsel, a longtime enemy of the demons, is one of the countries controlled by Talua. Kella listens intently, pondering why his father would teleport him to such a dangerous location. Rin panics, asking why he's still in the capital and urging him to run away with her immediately. Kella calmly explains that even running away requires some prep work, much to Rin's annoyance. He reveals that to achieve his dreams in this new world, magic is essential, and in this country, he observes, everything is accomplished through magic. He notes that magic is integrated into everyday life, even causing some buildings to float. Kella thinks that if he can learn magic here, he can build even greater things than he could in the game. Growl. Rin's stomach rumbles loudly, and she blushes, clutching it in embarrassment. Kella suggests they find something to eat first, leading her to a nearby food stand. Rin delightedly takes a bite of Arsel's famous magic dish. She cries out that it's delicious, and Kella seems to be enjoying his own pastry as well. An excited Rin points to another food stall, eager to continue their culinary tour. Kiag! They both happily munch on baguettes, with Rin declaring this one is delicious too. Rin excitedly points out more and more food she wants to try, while an exhausted Kella contemplates abandoning her. A hand raises a mug, and a voice announces that they can order anything they want from the shop. A red-haired woman named Shreels is being hailed by a tavern crowd as the hope of Arsel and its greatest mage. Kella and Rin happily join in the cheers for Shreels and the free drinks, though a note calls them lightweights. Blushing drunkenly, Kella smiles and thinks to himself that taking a break isn't so bad after all. The red-haired mage, Shreels, notices him from across the tavern with a curious smirk. Both Kella and Rin are shown thoroughly drunk, grinning as they clink their mugs together. Watching them, Shreels finds the pair to be an interesting couple. Blee! In an alley later, Kella is sick, while Rin scolds him for drinking so much when he can't handle it. She points out that he was the one who suggested they drink at a festival celebrating his own father's death. Their argument is interrupted by townsfolk running past, shouting about a new S-rank quest. Kella and Rin are taken aback, with Rin finding it unbelievable since the Demon King is already dead. Looking at a wanted poster for the Demon King, Rin wonders what new threat could possibly warrant an S-rank quest. Whoa, forgetting their argument, Rin excitedly drags a reluctant Kella to see what the commotion is about. A crowd gathers before a massive wanted poster, angry that the Demon King's children are still alive. Kella and Rin push through the crowd, staring up in disbelief at the poster. The wanted poster displays Kella's face, and Rin points in horror, exclaiming that it's him. Kella panics, shouting that his father is already dead, and questioning why he is now the target. MMPH. Rin covers a laughing Kella's mouth, telling the suspicious onlookers that he's just very drunk. The crowd whispers that Kella is the weakest of the Demon King's children, concluding this will be an easy hunt. As they stare at the wanted poster, the crowd speculates that hunting Kella will likely be a B-rank quest. Kella scowls, realizing he must lay low if he doesn't want to get caught. Deciding to leave, Kella tells Rin it's time to go, and she quickly corrects herself from calling him young master. As they walk away through the crowd, Rin asks him what she should call him in public to maintain their cover. He turns to her and provides a new name, Chiwoo, which Rin repeats in confusion. Annoyed by her questioning the name, he gruffly insists she just call him that. Kella notes how bad their situation is, and Rin expresses shock that people already know he's alive. As Kella resolves to get what they need and leave, Srills, the red-haired mage, watches them from nearby. Shrills smirks, having overheard their conversation, and asks, "Is that true?" Startled by her sudden appearance, Kella and Rin stammer that they were just looking around. Kella recognizes her as the Hope of Arsel from the tavern, realizing she is no ordinary person. Srills takes a drink, contemplating the news that the Demon King's son is alive and cursing all demons. Kella and Rin nervously try to downplay the threats, agreeing that Kella is supposedly weak and won't be a big deal. They both flinch simultaneously, sensing an abrupt change in their surroundings. Shrills suddenly has her arms around them, questioning why they think the Demon King's son being alive is no big deal. Kella panics as Shrills leans in close, revealing she noticed something strange about them earlier. Rin is terrified, thinking Shrills has detected their demonic scent and figured out their identities. With a wicked grin, Shrills leans in and menacingly reveals what she thinks they must be. Shrills cheerfully declares them travelers who need a bath and invites them to her place for more drinks. Kella and Rin stare in utter bewilderment, completely thrown by her bizarre invitation. Throwing caution to the wind, the three walk off, arm in arm, with Rin thinking they're safe after all. The scene shifts to Srila's magnificent home, a grand estate with floating towers under the moonlight. Inside, Kella relaxes in a luxurious hot springs bath, enjoying the unexpected hospitality. A floating tray holds a cup of tea and exotic snacks he's never had before. Holding a swirl-patterned candy, he wonders aloud if the treats are also made with magic. He leans back, content, thinking that he had always dreamed of living in a world just like a game. Overcome with emotion, he closes his eyes, feeling as though his deepest wish has finally come true. He smiles blissfully, deciding this whole isekai thing isn't so bad after all. Meanwhile, Rin panics in another bath, telling herself to get it together or she'll be killed if caught. Thrills, sharing the bath, asks Rin why she's so nervous, while Rin can only manage an awkward laugh. With a smirk, Thrills jokes that Rin's anxiety makes her seem like a demon who's been caught. Ah ha ha ha! Rin laughs nervously, trying to brush off the dangerously accurate observation. Shrill says, then, as a golden light begins to emanate from her hand, she offers to use a special relaxing scent, and the light around her hands intensifies. Rin's face drains of color as she recognizes the scent of the holy element, a poison that drains demons' mana. Panicking, she realizes the powerful holy aura will cancel her disguise spell. Her eyes swirl in pure terror as she silently screams for Kella's help. Cereals begins to reminisce, saying she thought her suffering would finally end with the Demon King's death. Unable to bear it, Rin covers her mouth, desperate to escape and not hear another word. Cereals continues her tragic backstory, explaining she was destined to become a mage from birth. Pua! Rin erupts from the water, cutting her off and shouting that she can reminisce later. Wrapped in a towel, Rin flees the room, yelling that she needs to use the restroom and will see her later. Thrills watches her go with a knowing smile, thinking to herself that Rin must not have liked the holy scent. Rin leans against a wall in the hallway, relieved after barely escaping a very bad situation. Kella, now dressed, casually strolls out, but Rin angrily tells him this is no time to be relaxing. She furiously explains that her disguise was almost undone, prompting a confused, "What do you mean?" from Kella. Panicked, Rin reveals that Shrills used a holy scent, which is potent enough to drain a demon's mana completely. Kella listens intently, realizing the grave danger they were just in. Unfazed, he declares he'll take another bath, enraging Rin, who desperately wants to escape. Shrills appears, playfully asking why they're leaving and reminding them of their promise for a second round. Rin forces a laugh, awkwardly trying to make their excuses, while a wary Kella looks on. Conjuring a magical orb, Shrills tempts them to stay, asking if they're not curious about drinks and dishes made with magic. Kella's interest is suddenly piqued by the mention of food magic. Yippee Tilda! Shrills triumphantly leads a reluctant Kella away, as a horrified Rin accidentally shouts his real name. The scene shifts to a group of mages in blue robes walking through Arsel at night. One of the mages confirms to another that demons are indeed present here. The lead mage clarifies their target is not just any demon, but the Demon King's child, calling it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The scene returns to Shrills' lavish home. As they drink, Shrills reveals their beverages are made with holy water, and Kella forces a compliment. Ha ha ha. Both Kella and Rin struggle to hide their pain, realizing they were tricked into drinking what feels like poison. Shrills turns to Rin, wanting to resume their earlier conversation about the life she has lived. She recalls joining the Tarkan squad and putting her life on the line to defeat the Demon King. She lifts her shirt, revealing a large scar on her stomach that she received from a past test. Kella and Rin stare in shock, with Kella noting he hadn't seen the scar before. Shrills dismissively calls the scar unpleasant to look at. She then reveals her greatest wound, pulling away the magic hiding her scarred and missing eye. Kella and Rin are frozen in horror at the sight. Shrills explains she used magic to hide her scars because seeing them is a painful reminder. In a flashback, a commander berates fallen trainees, ordering them to get up and think of the Demon King. The squad's banner is shown, a symbol of their sole purpose, taking down the Demon King. A young, bloodied Shrills clutches her ruined eye as the commander's voice urges them to endure the pain. The commander screams at the trainees, demanding to know their one true goal. Terrified, young Shrills shouts back their objective, killing the Demon King. Back in the present, Shrills says she sacrificed her life and earned her scars for that cause. Hiss! She aggressively gets in Kella's face, demanding to know what he was doing while she suffered. She rips his shirt open, demanding to see if he has any scars like hers. Kella is speechless, caught completely off guard by her intense interrogation. Finding his skin perfectly smooth and unscarred, Shrills stares intently. Rin panics, once again shouting, "Young Master Kella," in desperation. Damn it. Kella realizes with alarm that Shrills' touch is slowly unraveling his magical disguise. Shrills leans in closer, whispering his alias, Chiwoo. Her face darkens as she finally accuses him. "You are a demon, huh?" Kella recoils in shock, realizing she knew his true identity all along. Suddenly, a swarm of white rats with glowing red eyes scurry across the floor. A massive blast of blue lightning erupts from outside, shattering the calm. The explosion throws the three of them off balance as Shrills realizes mages have arrived. Kella and Ren stare in terror, wondering if Shrills deliberately led them into a trap. Shrills smirks at the intruders, calmly stating, "You're all here." The lead mage points at Shrills, declaring that her scarred eye is proof that Heaven's message was right. He furiously accuses her of hiding her true self from everyone. In a stunning reveal, he declares that Shrills is a demon who has infiltrated Arsel. What? Kella and Rin are completely floored by the shocking accusation. Stunned, Kella realizes the mages are here for Shrills, not them, and questions if she's truly a demon. A demonic hand summons a dark, powerful staff. As Shrills admits she has no reason to hide anymore. Holding her staff, Shrills smiles and reveals that she was the one who leaked the intel about her being a demon. Having gotten his confession, the mage leader wastes no time and commands his forces to kill her. Her eyes glowing with power, Shrills declares herself an elite mage of Tarkan, embracing the confrontation. Gushing with dark power, Shrills declares that a dozen mages from Arsel are no match for her. Rin panics, screaming for young Master Chiwoo to get out of the way. Kella realizes how dire the situation is, cursing his powerlessness. Zap. A massive explosion of dark magic rocks the entire room. The destructive energy continues to tear through the lavish estate. After the blast, Shrill stands firm, having protected Kella and Rin, who marvel at her immense power. Kella is stunned, realizing that the woman he thought was an enemy just saved them. Turning to them, Shrill states that she knows they are demons too, and that they can't hide it from her. In a shocking twist, she reveals her true identity. Shrill's Khaldun, daughter of the Demon King, Hell Khaldun. Kella and Rin are utterly speechless at the unbelievable revelation. With a smirk, Shrill offers to quickly explain everything using memory transfer magic. A flash of purple light engulfs Kella and Rin as Shrill begins to share her memories. In a flashback, a younger Hell Khaldun and a robed demon celebrate their success. The young girl looks up in awe, recognizing the Demon King as her absolute king. Hell Khaldun looks down at the child, declaring that she is now his daughter. The memory reveals a grim scene of her and other children imprisoned, having been used as lab rats. She recalls the daily hell of painful, dangerous experiments performed on the children. Young Seraph could only clench her fists and endure the agonizing procedures. After all the other children born with her had died, she was the only one left standing. In tears, she believed she was fated to die just like the others. A single tear rolls down her face as she remembers her despair. But as she knelt on the ground, her fate was about to change. The Demon King, Hell Khaldun, stood before her. With tears in her eyes, but a newfound determination, she declared it an honor to meet him. The Demon King then bestowed upon her a name, Shrill's Khaldun. He gave her a mission to infiltrate heaven as a spy, which she eagerly accepted. Filled with purpose, young Shrills resolved to do anything for her father. Her memory shows the grand, angelic castle she was sent to infiltrate. Two men in white robes discover the collapsed young Shrilla, assuming she was a victim of a demon attack. Deciding to treat her, one of the men carries her away, unknowingly bringing a spy into their midst. With a hidden smirk, Shrills began her new life as the Demon King's spy. She worked her way up as a mage of Arsel, enduring harsh training and proving her strength. She eventually became one of the strongest warriors in the elite Tarkan squad. After 15 long years, she finally saw her father again on the battlefield. Seeing him, she wanted to run into his arms, but knew she couldn't break her cover. She held back her tears, knowing her mission was almost complete. Her objective was to wait until everyone but General Killman had been defeated. Her role as a double agent was to secretly use magic to sabotage the Tarkan squad. She would support her father from the inside until he could kill General Killman. She imagined a future where she could finally stand proudly by her father's side. As Shrill's Khaldun, Huff. On the battlefield, General Killman acknowledges Hell Khaldun as his strongest opponent ever. The Demon King dismisses the human's praise, and the two prepare for a final, decisive clash. General Killman unleashes his ultimate technique, the Spear of Heaven's Martyrdom. In response, the Demon King unleashes his own ultimate attack, the Flames of Hell Magnalexer. Watching the catastrophic collision, Shrill screams for her father in terror. A cataclysmic explosion of divine and demonic power tears the battlefield apart. In that instant, as she's blown away by the blast, she hears her father's voice in her mind. In her mind, the Demon King's voice addresses his daughter, Shrill's Khaldun. As Seraph looks up in shock, her father gives her a final command. The Demon King tasks her with serving the next Demon King as she has served him. Crying, Shrill accepts his final wish, to protect the next king until the very end. The memory transfer concludes with a flash of violent, purple energy. Her father's form dissolves into dust, his existence fading away. On the battlefield, Shrill lets out a heart-wrenching scream as she watches her father disappear. She stares in utter disbelief and despair, unable to accept his death. Overcome with grief, she screams for her father one last time as the memory ends. With backup forces arriving, Shrill recalls having no choice but to retreat back to Talua. While the world celebrated the Demon King's defeat, Shrill was left alone with her grief. She walks away from the celebrating crowds, a solitary figure cloaked in sorrow. She remembers returning to her second home, Arsel, to begin the first part of her father's plan. She resolved to start anew, embedding herself deeper within the enemy's ranks. Her new purpose burns within her, to avenge her father's death. Back in the present, the memory transfer ends, and Shrill declares she will wipe out everyone, starting with Arsel. Rin is stunned, finding it impossible to believe Shrill is the Demon King's daughter. Kella groans in frustration, realizing he's just gained another intense demon sibling. Kella tells a tearful Srills he didn't expect to have another sibling, even if they're not related by blood. Srills smiles, stating she won't force their cooperation, but has something important to tell them. She explains that Arsel, the magic country, is a core threat to all demonkin. She declares that the longer Arsel stands, the greater the danger to Kella Kaldan, the last hope of their kind. Kella is taken aback by the weight of her declaration. Clenching his fist, Kelly agrees, remembering from the game how crucial mages were in battle. He realizes that if Arsel is left unchecked, he will be the one in the greatest danger. The lead mage curses, knowing the explosion will attract attention and that they must claim credit for the kill. He rallies his men, ordering them to unleash all of their mana at once. Kella notes grimly that the mages attacked without hesitation, even believing them to be human. Rin watches with concern, calling out to her young master as his demonic features begin to emerge. Unveiling his horns and pointed ears, Kella accepts the grim reality of the situation. Srills and a nearby mage turn in absolute shock, sensing Kella's overwhelming demonic energy. Srills' eye widens in disbelief, recognizing the impossible power surging from him. As a spectral image of Hel Khaldun appears behind him, Srills realizes Kella is wielding their father's power. That night, Kella and Srills fought side by side in an endless, destructive battle. A horrified Rin could only watch what seemed to her like a merciless massacre. Knowing Arsel's layout from her time there, Srills strategically dismantled her former home. She systematically destroyed the government's main facilities and the Magic Academy. Meanwhile, Kella used their father's immense mana to hunt down the city's corrupt leaders. Kuaku. He unleashes his power, covered in blood, as he brutally subjugates the powerful elite. Together, they unleash a devastating attack that overwhelms the remaining mages, who can only cry out in terror. A massive demonic explosion tears through the heart of the city. Kella and Rin look out over the city as flames burn brightly, painting the sky itself. The defeated lead mage collapses in the ruins, unable to believe Arsel could fall so easily. Bleeding and broken, he screams that he will never forgive the demons. Kua. A blast of dark energy silences him. Srills retorts that she is the one who can never forgive them. With a crazed grin, she vows to destroy not just Arsel, but the Tarkan squad and the entire Talua Empire. Kella and Rin are stunned by her immense ambition, thinking it's impossible. Declaring they've helped each other enough, Kella suggests it's time for them to part ways. Srills smiles, asking if he truly thought she wouldn't recognize his mana, correctly identifying him as their father's second son, Kella Khaldun. Realizing Srills knows the truth, Kella accepts that there's no point in hiding his identity anymore. With a sigh of resignation, he quietly agrees with her. Srills gasps in excitement, confirming he's really Kella Khaldun, while he panics, realizing she was only guessing. With her suspicions confirmed, Srills admits she was only slightly suspicious before. She explains that she is not a traditional daughter, but a mutant made from their father's aura, which is why she recognizes his true bloodline. Srills continues, revealing that she was created after he was born. Gleefully, she declares him her older brother, but Kella instantly rejects the notion. With a smirk, Srills summons her staff and invites him to join her in avenging their father. Kella silently curses his bad luck, realizing his excuse about running away from home has backfired spectacularly. Srills' expression turns intense as she reminds him that he is the last of the Demon King's bloodline. A nervous Rin pleads with her young master to just agree, terrified that Srills might kill them otherwise. Kella resolves to get revenge, seeing no other choice at this point. Srills beams with delight, eagerly declaring that it's time to burn them all down. Holding a nervous Rin, Kella simply agrees. Kella muses that he needs Arsel's magic anyway, and Srills' insider knowledge is invaluable. Deciding to use revenge as a cover, he accepts her as an ally for now, and the three walk off together. From the shadows, the defeated mage from Arsel watches them leave, determined to report this to Talua. The scene shifts to the grand, gleaming castle of the Talua Empire. A white-haired ruler impatiently demands to know the urgent news while eating. His robed advisor reports that Srills of the Tarkan squad was outed as a demon and attacked by Arsel's mages. The ruler leans forward intently, demanding to know what happened next. The advisor reveals that Kella Khaldun appeared and burned Arsel to the ground alongside her. What? The ruler slams his fork down in shock. He roars in disbelief, questioning how the Demon King's son could possibly be an Arsel. The advisor suggests Kella may be connected to Shrills, earning a curse from the furious ruler. The ruler rages that not only was Shrills a demon, but Arsel's destruction by Kella will make them a laughingstock. The advisor gravely agrees, fearing the immense public humiliation this will cause. The ruler orders him to kill Shrills and Kella Khaldun before the news spreads, threatening him with the loss of his position. The robed advisor, Hayden, bows and swears on his name to kill them. With a determined stride, Haddon turns to carry out his orders. He walks toward a large glass case containing the preserved demonic head of Hel Khaldun. Staring at the head, Hayden mutters that Hel Khaldun's bloodline continues to plague him even in death. Hayden vows to burn away everyone who carries the Demon King's blood, his reflection merging with his fallen enemies. Elsewhere, a commander demands to know the whereabouts of the Killian squad. An aide informs Hayden that General Killian has been messaged and ordered to return at once. Hayden reflects on Killian's strength, remembering him as the greatest knight, surpassing even Killman. He knows they need Killian to eliminate Kella and Shrills as the scene shifts to a desolate mountain pass. A hooded messenger informs a shirtless, white-haired man that his brother bravely sacrificed himself to kill the Demon King. The warrior Killian is unimpressed, asking only if his brother was killed by a demon. The messenger pleads with him, explaining that Talua needs him to hunt down Kella Khaldun. Killian states he doesn't care what Talua wants. His only motivation is that demons killed his brother. His power erupts as he vows to eradicate every single demon on the continent. With eyes burning with vengeance, he declares his hunt will begin with Kella Khaldun. He repeats his promise with chilling certainty. He's starting with Kella Khaldun. Kella's eyes fly open, sensing an ominous new presence. Around a magical campfire, Kella wonders about the massive portion of meat, but Shrills claims it's not even enough for her. Rin asks Shrills for her secret to staying thin, and Shrills advises that if food goes in and out quickly, you won't get fat. Rin is stunned by this miracle theory. Kella is relieved that Shrills isn't hostile, admitting he was worried she'd be jealous of his status as the true bloodline. Kella directly asks Shrills if she holds any resentment toward him for being their father's biological child. Shrills confesses she resents him enough to want to kill him, and Kella grimly thinks he expected as much. However, she admits that because he shares their father's blood, whom she loved and respected, she can't truly hate him. Instead, she declares that she must protect him with everything she has. Kella is stunned, realizing that unlike his other siblings, this powerful woman wants to protect him. With a confident smile, Shrills reaffirms her vow to keep him alive. A flustered Kella stammers his thanks, much to Rin's wide-eyed shock. Insisting he needs to eat, Rin shoves meat in his mouth, while Kella protests that he isn't hungry. Rin passionately vows to protect his health until she dies, forcing Kella to ask her to calm down. As night falls, narration explains that with Arsel's fall, demon hunters will soon flock to the area. Shrills suggests they move to a safer location as their current camp will soon be discovered. Kella disagrees, confidently stating their current position is the perfect place to stay the night. He grins, explaining that with a little work, he can turn this place into an impenetrable fortress. As Kella narrates, he and Shrila use their magic to raise stone pillars, transforming the terrain into a fortress. Kella then recalls resting in their newly built shelter to process the lessons from their recent battle. Meditating, he reflects that even the Demon King had to rest after using immense mana. He notes that Shrills, having used even more power, needed an even longer recovery time and is shown completely passed out. After resting, the three of them stand ready in their fortified camp under a clear sky. Elsewhere, a guard on a castle wall uses a magical megaphone to make an announcement. As soldiers watch, he announces the arrival of Tarkan's second squad, the Tarkan of White, led by Killian and Sir Deed. A guard on the battlements announces to the king that the Tarkan of White has arrived. The ruler of Talua smirks, remarking that the mere sight of his elite squad gives him goosebumps. He formally welcomes his strongest squad, the Tarkan of White, as they stand before him. A blue-haired squad member named Deed smirks at his captain, Killian, noting how much stronger he's become. Deed muses that General Killman would have been happy to see it, triggering a brief flash of a memory for Killian. A blonde, elf-eared woman named Adria scolds Deed for his loose tongue, making him flinch. As Deed remarks on her usual loudness, Adria glares back at him. A burly squad member asks Captain Killian if they truly have to listen to the king's summons. He growls that even killing Kella now wouldn't be enough to satisfy his anger. A hooded woman named Curley steps forward, announcing she has something to show him. The scene transitions to an opulent room inside the Talua castle. Killian's squad stands before the preserved, severed head of the Demon King, Hell. Killian stares coldly at the relic, identifying it as the head of his brother's killer. While Deed expresses his disgust, Audrey shushes him as the others look on silently. Killian asks Curley if a tracking spell will work with just the head, and she confirms it's possible. Curley channels her magic, explaining that the bloodstains will allow her to find others of the same bloodline. Blue energy envelops Hell head as the powerful tracking spell activates. Killian whispers Hell name, telling the dead Demon King to keep his eyes open. With a chilling smile, Killian vows to make Hell watch everything they are about to do. Back at their fortress, Srills declares it's time for revenge, as Tarkan's second squad will be summoned soon. Rin looks concerned, asking who Tarkan's second squad is. Srills explains that in Talua, her first squad was never truly expected to defeat the Demon King. A flashback reveals her squad in dark armor, confirming they were used as an experiment. The squad Talua truly invested its strength in was the second one, Tarkan of White. Kella looks grim, repeating the name Tarkan of White as he absorbs the information. Drills elaborates that it is an elite squad of combat geniuses led by Kilman's younger brother, Killian. Kella asks if this means their father's killer, Kilman, is actually weaker than this squad. Srills confirms they are far superior to Kilman, so skilled she can't even predict their full capabilities. Kella listens with a grave expression, understanding the magnitude of the threat they now face. A worried Rin clenches her fist, wondering how they could possibly invade Talua against such powerful foes. Shrill states that with Tarkan of White and isolation training, they have a window to attack Talua now. Kella counters that Talua is far too large and powerful for luck to win them the battle. With a determined gaze, Kella begins to formulate a different plan. He reasons that the order to hunt him down has likely already forced the Tarkan of White to reassemble. Kella argues that a direct assault is foolish, insisting they must build their own army and base first. Shrills and a shocked Rin listen, as Shrills questions his mention of an army and a base. Kella clarifies they need an army of demons powerful enough to challenge the Tarkan of White. He continues, envisioning a base so impregnable that even Talua's soldiers couldn't invade it. With a demonic grin, Kella declares they will construct the strongest dungeon in existence. A crazed Shrills and a horrified Rin react in shock, with Rin shouting, "Dungeon." Kella explains they cannot afford to gamble on uncertain battles, lest they fail like their father. He passionately declares they will create the strongest dungeon and wage war on Talua from there. Shrills enthusiastically agrees, praising the plan as worthy of their father's son. Kella sweats nervously, admitting to himself that he just came up with the idea on the spot. An invigorated Strahl rallies them to go create their army, saying she knows some potential recruits. Shrills and Rin cheer enthusiastically for their coming war, much to Kella's annoyance. He dryly notes to himself how much they liked his impromptu idea. Kella reveals his inner thoughts, admitting this is all just a way to stall for time. His true goal is to create his own world, a sanctuary where no one can ever interrupt him. He fantasizes about his own perfect world, a grand kingdom he could never build in reality. Clenching his fist, Kella refocuses on his personal ambition. Kella asks Shrills if she knows any trustworthy demons for their army, and she confirms she knows several. He states that their first recruit must be an expert on geography and terrain. Shrills ponders for a moment, trying to think of the right person. Her eyes light up in realization as she exclaims that she knows someone and urges them to go. The scene transitions, showing their journey beginning under a bright, clear sky. On their way, Kella studies Arsel's magic from a book with Shrills, while Rin playfully peeks from behind. Though it should have taken far longer, the trio looks up at a massive orb of energy he summoned. Kella reflects that, thanks to his talent, he was able to learn the complex magic very quickly. He smiles, feeling that mastering magic with his own hands is bringing him closer to his goal. They arrive in a barren wasteland, and Kella questions if a demon could truly live there. Shrills grimly explains the land wasn't always like this, blaming an ambush by Tarkan's forces. Kella and Rin are confused by her revelation. Shrills urgently warns them both not to move no matter what happens. A flashback shows a demon warrior defiantly shouting at Tarkan's soldiers, asking if they've come for them again. The same burly demon clashes with a younger Shrills, who is dressed in Tarkan armor, vowing to kill her. Back in the present, an eye patch-wearing Shrills realizes these demons don't know she has since defected. A panicked Rin questions why Shrills is letting herself be attacked and demands to know the truth. Rin silences her with a hand gesture, her expression suddenly serious as he says, "Quiet." Kella calmly tells Rin to leave them be, understanding the situation. The demon leader roars at Shrills, questioning why she won't fight back, taking it as an insult. Shrills simply bows her head and apologizes. She kneels with her arms crossed, vowing to accept their rage until their anger subsides. The demon leader recognizes the gesture, identifying it as a symbolic pose known only to them. Still kneeling, Srila formally apologizes to them as a fellow demon. The other demons are stunned, confused as to how she can be a demon when she attacked them with Tarkan. Kella steps forward from the shadows, confirming that what she says is true. He unleashes his demonic power, announcing himself as the last child of the Demon King, Hell Khaldun. The demons are stunned by his immense demonic energy, realizing he truly is the Demon King's son. Instantly recognizing him as young Master Kella, the demons drop to their knees and bow deeply. The Earth demons formally offer their greetings and pledge their allegiance to His Highness, Hell Khaldun. As an ecstatic Rin calls his name, Kella looks on with a stoic expression. Shrills smirks proudly, telling Kella the demons now see him as their rightful heir. Gazing down at the bustling demon city, Kella agrees with a confident grin. He reflects that building their army might not be so difficult after all. In a grand hall, a throng of earth demons cheers as their leader formally greets Kella. An old demon eagerly promises to prepare anything the son of the Demon King needs, asking only for his orders. Kella observes the demon city, noting how their architecture differs from his father's castle and Arsel. He marvels at their sturdy city, built from natural materials without magic, and praising its excellent placement. Kella muses that he never would have imagined such a large city could be hidden underground if they hadn't revealed themselves. Kella admits to a smug Shrills that she was right about needing the Earth Demon's talent. Shrills adds that besides their construction skills, there is also an excellent warrior they should recruit. Kella, intrigued, asks about this warrior while Rin happily nibbles on some meat. Trishbans begins to explain, recounting how Talcan's forces discovered the city while journeying to the Demon King's castle. In a flashback, a Talcan commander furiously orders his soldiers to kill all the filthy earth demons. A chaotic battle ensues as the demons cry for help against the overwhelming forces of Tulua. Land burns around the fleeing demons as the attack continues. A red-haired demon woman stares in shock at the devastation. A lone demon warrior stands defiantly before his people, demanding to know how the soldiers can massacre non-combatants. He extends a protective hand, vowing that those who lack a warrior's pride will not lay a finger on the children. The Talcan commander looks on, surprised to see a demon risking his life to protect the young. Impressed, the commander asks the defiant warrior for his name. He proudly declares himself Douglas, son of the Earth Demons. The commander quietly repeats the name, Douglas. He remarks that it is a shame Douglas wasn't born a human. Having made his decision, the commander orders his troops to cease combat and continue their march to the Demon King's castle. Douglas stares in stunned silence, unable to believe what he's heard. A red-haired Shrills, in her former Talcan armor, smirks, telling Douglas his bravery saved his tribe. Douglas remains speechless, sweating in disbelief. He stands as the last line of defense for the children, watching the enemy depart. Back in the present, Shrills concludes that Douglas stayed to protect the children until the very end. A wide-eyed Rin exclaims that even his name sounds trustworthy, as Kella listens intently. Kella muses that a combat-capable Earth Demon is more than he could have ever hoped for. Over a meal, Kella declares his intent to meet Douglas, but the Elder Demon warns that he is quite stubborn. The Elder nervously suggests it would be better for Kella to look for someone else. Kella refuses, firmly stating he will bring Douglas with him and demanding to know where he is. The scene shifts to a smithy, where the loud clang of a hammer echoes. Kella confronts the smith, asking sternly if he refuses to obey him. Clang. Douglas continues hammering, retorting that he isn't obligated to obey Kella just because he's the Demon King's son. Kella challenges him, asking what he would do if he used force. Douglas glares back, stating without hesitation that he would die fighting. Kella asks why he insists on staying, and Douglas explains that he was born and raised here. With a clang of his hammer, he declares he has a duty to protect his homeland and cannot leave. Kella sighs, remarking that Douglas is as stubborn as he was told. Douglas simply apologizes and returns to his work. Kella grimaces, inwardly complaining about how hard he had to work to get an orc ally like Douglas in the game. He resigns himself to failure, realizing it's pointless if Douglas would rather die. Kella pauses for a moment in thought. The rhythmic clang of the hammer continues from the smithy. As Kella walks away, he once again admires the efficient architecture of the demon city. Kella muses to himself that he really wants someone with the Earth Demon's knowledge to serve him. His thoughts are interrupted by a drunken Swirls and Rin, who cheer about the amazing liquor and urge him to try some. He grits his teeth in annoyance, complaining internally that they're partying while he is trying to investigate. Kia. Someone shoves a large mug of liquor towards him. One sip later, a blushing Kella is already drunk, asking why he can taste yams in the beer, while a confused Swirls asks what yams are. The elder demon looks on warmly, chuckling that Kella is drunk and talking strangely as the trio enjoys their feast. The delighted elder orders his subordinates to bring their honored guests to their finest resting chambers. The scene transitions to an exterior view of the quiet, illuminated buildings of the demon city. Later, Kella rests in a bed, seemingly asleep after the night's festivities. His face is calm and peaceful in his apparent slumber. The door creaks open as armored boots step inside, an axe held at the ready. The attacker, Douglas, looms over the bed, calling Kella a wuss as he raises his weapon. Vowing that Kella will die, Douglas brings the axe down with tremendous force. A younger Earth Demon watches the attack, his face a mask of utter shock and disbelief. In the darkness, Kella's eyes snap open as he stops the axe blade with one hand, simply saying, "Fine." Kella leaps from the bed, realizing his attacker saw through his ruse of being asleep. A group of other demons charge forward, shouting to kill the coward Kella. On the floor, Kella's expression hardens as he focuses on the unfolding betrayal. Kella recalls his conversation at the smithy, wondering about Douglas's motives for making weapons he claimed he didn't need. He also remembers noticing that someone was following him as he surveyed the city. From that moment on, Kella had begun observing his surroundings with much greater care. His caution paid off when he noticed a wall with a subtle magical barrier on it. He realizes he only detected such a faint barrier because he had inherited the Demon King's mana. Despite his discoveries, Kella remained troubled by one strange inconsistency. He recalls Shrilla's story, where she claimed Douglas was protecting young dark elves. However, Kella notes to himself that he never saw any young dark elves anywhere in the village. In a flash of insight, his eyes widen as all the pieces click into place. Kella unleashes his power, shattering the magically concealed wall with a powerful strike. He stands ready as the dust settles from his destructive blow. Kella confronts Douglas, pointing out that his exact words were that he couldn't hand over the elves, not that he would protect them from death. He reveals the truth. Douglas didn't care about protecting them. He just didn't want them taken from him. "Hike!" A horrified Douglas stammers in shock, stunned that Kella figured out his secret. Kella stares him down, suggesting they should now go and release the magic barrier. Outside, a crowd of earth demons murmurs as they gather in the city streets. The demons cry out in shock as Kella appears, holding their great warrior Douglas hostage. Kella smirks, realizing the entire village must have been in on the deception. The elder demon curses Douglas furiously, enraged that his plan to assassinate Kella failed. A sweating Douglas can only apologize for his failure. Kella threatens the crowd with a blade of energy at Douglas's neck, warning them not to move. The furious elder wonders how the coward Kella managed to uncover their elaborate plot. T.S. Douglas reluctantly activates an ornate device, pressing the purple gem at its center. The device deactivates the barrier, revealing a group of captive, frightened dark elves. Kella and a nervous Douglas stare at the revealed prisoners in stunned silence. Kella's eyes widen in horror, realizing the elves are in far worse shape than he imagined. Shrills and Rin rush to the scene, checking if Kella is all right and calling his ambushers cowards. The two women stop short, confused by the tense standoff and the crowd of free dark elves. Kella asks Shrills if she can use memory transfer magic on one of the dark elves to show him what happened to them. Shrills agrees, noting that while it's possible the memories will be less clear than her own. Kella closes his eyes and formally requests that she begin the process. Shrills concentrates, gathering purple energy around her staff to perform the memory transfer. As the memory transfer connects them, Kella begins to witness the Dark Elf's harrowing past. The vision opens on a grim scene of suffering, focusing on a pregnant Dark Elf woman in pain. In the bleak memory, a mother weeps while desperately cradling her newborn child. The memory shifts to a cruel, shadowy noble forcefully grabbing a young Dark Elf by the hair. The visions confirm that human nobles forcibly take the Dark Elves, leaving a grieving mother to collapse in despair. A subsequent memory reveals the Earth Demons accepting a pile of coins as payment. In captivity, the Dark Elf mothers tried to teach their children, drawing lessons in the dirt. A happier memory shows a time when the Dark Elves foraged freely and peacefully in the woods. The Dark Elves' thoughts reveal the life and knowledge they could never experience while imprisoned. Their only wish before dying was for the future of their children. The memory ends with the mother's tearful, desperate hope that her children could just be free. Having seen their suffering, Kella's mind brands their situation a pathetic existence. Kella erupts in pure rage, screaming and cursing the treacherous Earth Demons. Whap! He turns his fury on the nearest Earth Demon, who looks utterly bewildered by the sudden attack. Cloaked in a powerful blue aura, Kella lunges forward with a furious strike. Vow! His punch lands with explosive force. The demon is sent flying, crashing violently to the ground. Kella confronts the defeated demon as Srills and Rin arrive, demanding to know if he was smuggling the children all along. Ugh! The battered demon admits it's true, explaining that dark elves are a rare breed coveted by human nobles. The captive elves listen as he explains their naturally peaceful disposition makes them easy to keep. With a cruel smirk, the demon concludes their nature makes them perfect to raise as livestock. You bastard! Srills roars, appalled that he would enslave other demons, as Rin looks on in horror. The demon defiantly argues that with the demon king gone, enslaving the elves is essential for survival against humans. A cold, blue energy gathers menacingly around Kella's fist. Kella recalls his own miserable past, enduring his father's oppression. But as he looks at the terrified children, he knows their pain is incomparably worse than his own. His eyes burn with resolve as he declares he cannot stand by and allow this to continue. Standing before his companions, Kella calls out to Srills and Rin, ready to act. He announces they will finish the job that the talking commander, Killman, left unfinished. Srills and Rin furiously agree, vowing they cannot forgive the Earth Demons for betraying their own kind. Small horns now visible, Kella agrees, declaring they will cleanse this place of the Earth Demons. Douglas rallies his men, shouting that there are only 3 of them and to help him fight. Ooh, the Earth Demons charge as one, screaming, die. Rin blocks a furious attack, warning that the remaining orcs are coming at them. How dare you? Srill screams, unleashing her magic and questioning their rebellion against the Demon King's kin. One of the Earth Demons shouts for them not to retreat, calling Kella a wuss they don't have to obey. Nonsense, Rin retorts, blasting an enemy away while proclaiming Lord Kella will be the next Demon King. Another demon lunges, screaming for Kella's death, but his punch is effortlessly caught. Kella realizes this isn't a game anymore. In this life, he can truly change things with his own power. With a powerful kick, he sends the demon flying, vowing he will no longer stand idly by. Kua. As the Dark Elves watch in fear, the Earth Demons are ordered to kill them. One of the captive elves wonders aloud if Kella and his group are really fighting for them. A brave Dark Elf named Wood resolves that they must help their saviors. What are you doing, Wood? Another elf shouts, trying to pull him back from the dangerous battle. Others plead with him to stay put, terrified they will be tortured again if Kella's side loses. The word torture stops Wood cold, his face filled with dread. Shing! In a flash, a blade slices through the air. Wood screams in agony as his arm is severed in a brutal attack. Kella freezes, stunned silent by the horrific act. Turning on the attacker, Kella furiously asks if he can hear the elves' cries of pain, promising he will make them pay for everything. Douglas clutches a red, glowing ore, deciding his current strength is not enough. With a bloody grimace, Douglas orders his men to eat their earth ores, declaring they cannot afford to lose. Following their leader's command, the other Earth Demons begin to consume their own glowing ores. Srills cries out in disbelief, shocked that the legendary earth ores actually exist. Kella watches the enemy's desperate move, snarling as he asks what is happening. Rin explains that the ores grant a massive power boost at the cost of the user's lifespan. Grrr. As his body writhes and transforms, Douglas growls that he is going to kill Kella. The transformation completes, turning Douglas into a hulking monster as he screams his intent to kill. Kella watches in alarm, realizing their demonic energy has surged along with their physical power. Frustrated, Kella laments that he can't yet access the full scope of his inherited abilities. Wah! The transformed Douglas roars, lunging at Kella with a supercharged punch. Kella's eyes widen with sweat and fear, recognizing the immense danger of the attack. Douglas's massive, mutated arms swing down with incredible speed and force. Suddenly, Douglas stops mid-attack, his eyes wide with surprise. Kuah! His arms have become grotesquely swollen and malformed as he screams in confusion. The transformed Wood stands before the battling demons, vowing this will never happen again. With glowing white hair and renewed determination, Wood reaches out, declaring such suffering will happen ever again. The other Dark Elves cry out in terror for Wood, aghast at what he's become. Enraged that Wood interfered, Douglas threatens to torture him to death for his betrayal. The hulking demon pauses, looking completely bewildered by an unseen force. Kella appears instantly before Douglas, coldly telling him not to screw with him. Erg. Kella's glowing hand has pierced straight through Douglas's chest, who can only curse his fate. Looking back with a vicious grin, Kella relishes his decisive strike. Gazing at his savior, Wood thinks to himself that he likes Kella. As Kella smirks victoriously, Wood's admiration for him solidifies. Kyuk. Even with a fatal wound, Douglas turns his fury on Wood, enraged by the elf's betrayal. With his last ounce of strength, Douglas lunges at Wood, vowing to kill him right now. Kella is stunned as Douglas's body suddenly grows even larger. Douglas unleashes a final, desperate punch. The powerful blow connects, sending Kella flying. Kella is slammed violently into the ground from the force of the attack. Coke. Struggling to recover, Kella wonders at the incredible power of the Earth Magic Stone. Ignoring Kella completely, the dying Douglas charges single-mindedly toward Wood to kill him. Douglas grabs Wood by the face, effortlessly lifting him into the air. Douglas snarls, promising to rip Wood's head from his shoulders. Wood chokes and strains, caught in the demon's death grip. On the ground, Kella watches in horror, realizing Douglas is obsessed with killing Wood above all else. Wood struggles for his life as Douglas's grip tightens. Knowing he's too far to intervene directly, Kella realizes he needs a long-range attack. As Kella focuses, his eyes begin to glow with a brilliant golden light. Kella is suddenly transported to a dark, ethereal space, confused about where he is. A shadowy, smiling entity materializes, mocking Kella and revealing they are inside his consciousness. Startled, Kella demands to know the entity's identity. The shadow urges Kella to instead focus on saving Wood, warning him that time is of the essence. The urgent reminder snaps Kella's focus back to Wood's dire situation. Desperate, Kella asks the shadow if there's any way to save Wood. The entity states that Kella is not yet ready to wield the full power he inherited from Helkaldan. It explains that as Kella's mind and body synchronize, he will be able to unlock more abilities. Impatient, Kella demands to know what power he can access immediately. The shadow entity agrees, telling him there is one ability he can use now, as it forms a bow from blue energy. The shadowy entity addresses Kella by both his names, Kella Kaldan and Kang Chiwoo, promising to see him again soon. Kella is stunned, wondering how the mysterious being in his mind could possibly know his name. Still reeling in shock, Kella's mind races with confusion. Back in the real world, Kella holds the newly formed energy bow, recognizing it as Hell's Fire Arrow. He realizes that, with this new weapon, he might just have a chance. Drawing the bow, Kella yells for Wood to protect himself. The dying Douglas, still holding Wood, looks on in disbelief at Kella's new power. Wood clenches his teeth in agony, still caught in the demon's death grip. Douglas curses the defiant Wood, tightening his hold with murderous intent. Kella furiously declares that this is the end of all of Douglas's dirty deeds. He releases the shot, and the brilliant blue arrow streaks through the air. Douglas's eyes widen in terror as the arrow closes in. The arrow strikes true, and Douglas screams for someone to save him. Kella watches the aftermath, certain it was a direct hit. Consumed by magical blue fire, Douglas's silhouette screams in its final moments. As the dust settles, Kella wonders about the identity of the entity he met in his consciousness. The battle isn't over, as Rin finds herself overwhelmed by the remaining Earth demons. Sril's curses, frustrated that the cave's low ceiling prevents her from using her powerful splash magic. Kella reassures them, confidently promising to end the fight in a flash. He unleashes a rain of magical arrows upon the remaining enemies. Ack! The Earth demons are pierced by the barrage and cry out in agony. Sril's is amazed, realizing he's using demonic energy and wondering if Kella's mana has gotten stronger. Kella takes aim, satisfied that he now possesses long-range attacks. A confident smirk spreads across his face as he embraces his newfound power. As the last of the enemies dissolve into nothing, Kella confirms that everything is finally taken care of. Sril's examines an earth ore, remarking that they are far more powerful than she expected. Rin looks on in shock, admitting she didn't realize they burned the user's lifespan. Kella clutches an ore, deciding they must investigate these powerful artifacts. With the battle over, Kella turns his attention to the crowd of rescued dark elves. Standing with his companions, Kella announces to the dark elves that they are free. He warns them to live their lives freely and never be captured by such bastards again. The dark elf mothers and children are stunned, tearfully questioning if they are truly free. Kella confirms their freedom again, telling them they can now leave this place. A young, shackled dark elf child asks hopefully if they can finally escape this hell. Overcome with gratitude, the dark elves kneel and thank Sir Kella for saving them. Sril's laments that they couldn't recruit the earth demons, still angry about their deception. Rin agrees it's a shame, but accepts there's nothing that can be done. Kella approaches Wood, asking if he was captured rather than born in the cave. Looking down, Wood quietly confirms that he was. Kella deduces that Wood must not have any family to live with either. Wood sadly confirms that this is also true. Kella offers him a place with them, explaining they need an earth demon to help navigate. Wood is taken aback, protesting that he isn't an earth demon and lacks talent with terrain. Looking at his shackled hands, he insists that he would be of no help. He argues that he proved himself a coward who only saved himself in the face of danger. Kella ignores his protests, extending a hand and commanding him to get up and come with him. Wood stares at Kella, completely speechless. With tears in his eyes, he can only stammer Kella's name. A memory surfaces of a much younger Wood who can't even remember his parents' faces. The flashback shows the terrified young elf being captured by a sneering earth demon. The flashback shows a terrified young Wood, his eyes wide with fear as he's captured. Back in the present, a tearful Wood asks if he can truly leave this place. His voice cracks as he asks if he can really follow Kella. Kella looks down, calmly correcting him that he won't be following. With authority, Kella declares that Wood will be going with them, moving the elf to tears. Kella helps Wood to his feet, telling him it's time to leave, as Wood stammers his thanks. The narrator recounts how they defeated the earth demons and saved the captured dark elves, who now wave goodbye with joy. Kella reflects on his initial worry for the sheltered elves, but trusts they'll thrive as demons loved by nature. The other dark elves happily surround Wood, and Kella believes their new life will be far better. Wood looks ahead with a calm and grateful expression, finally at peace. Rin playfully lays down the law, telling the newcomer Wood that he must listen to them, and he meekly agrees. Rin proposes they find a river, a suggestion Kella seems to question. Wood immediately points, surprising Rin by saying he can smell water in that direction. Rin begrudgingly admits he's pretty good, to which Wood humbly replies with a thank you. Kella asks Sril's for the reason behind searching for a river. Grinning, Sril's explains that they need to find something to ride so they don't have to walk. Sril's says they can find mounts near a river, prompting an excited Rin to suggest they catch a dragon. Sril shuts down Rin's fantasy, telling her they'd be lucky to find a unicorn, let alone a dragon. Kella agrees to follow Wood's lead, and the group enthusiastically sets off. The scene shifts to a serene, forested path at the base of a mountain. By the water, two majestic unicorns with lilac manes look up, startled. The beautiful creatures stand poised by the moonlit river. Suddenly, a massive, monstrous clawed foot slams into the ground. The ground cracks under the weight of the enormous creature's step. A massive, winged dragon stands revealed under the moonlight. Rin excitedly shouts for a dragon, while Sril's yells back in frustration that there are no dragons. Elsewhere, a lone, surviving earth demon begs for someone to save him. A mysterious woman in a white hood observes him, noting he is the only one who survived. She maintains a calm, serene expression as she assesses the situation. Amidst a field of slaughtered bodies, a voice wonders why a tracking spell isn't working. The hooded woman sits with a group of robed figures around a fire, explaining she doesn't know why the spell failed. She reports that the spell is detecting multiple individuals in many different directions. A scarred man with her expresses his doubt, asking if there's any way to identify which one is Kella. Another group debates the issue, concluding they can't waste time hunting down every single target. A white-haired swordsman resigns himself to hunting down all the demons spread across the continent. He instructs the hooded woman, Curley, to start by searching for Kella first. Curley states she can teleport if she's alone, believing it would be faster. A man with braided hair grins sinisterly, suggesting they can go slaughtering, then corrects himself to cleaning up while Curley is gone. Curley accepts her mission and prepares to depart. Her eye glows with blue energy as she activates her teleportation magic. Whoa! Curley vanishes in a burst of light, and the braided hair man exclaims in surprise. The white-haired swordsman smirks, anticipating the hunt for the demons. Arriving at the battle site, Curley senses Hal Khaldun's energy and asks the survivor if he saw Kella. The survivor furiously recounts how Kella, that wimp, wiped out their entire tribe. Curley calmly inquires about where Kella went. The demon admits he doesn't know, and then pathetically begs for his life. He's silenced as a bolt of energy pierces through his head. Curley stands over the dead demon, a ball of blue energy dissipating in her hand. She coldly tells the corpse he's of no use if he doesn't have the information she needs. Turning away, Curley decides she must follow the faint energy trace herself. Curley looks up, her mind focused on a single name, Kella Khaldun. The scene shifts to a beautiful, sparkling river in a lush forest as a voice joyfully announces their arrival. Kella praises Wood for leading them to the river from days away using only his sense of smell, and Wood thanks him. HMPH. Rin jealously scolds Wood not to get full of himself, and he meekly apologizes. Citing her hunger, Rin excitedly volunteers to go fishing for her master Kella, boasting of her skills. A school of fish leaps dramatically from the rushing river water. Whoa! Wood stands with an armful of freshly caught fish as the others look on, stunned by his sudden catch. Cyrils is impressed, as Wood explains he used the power of nature to control the water and catch the fish. UEK. Rin grits her teeth in frustration, outdone by the newcomer. Rin volunteers to start a fire, but Cyrils effortlessly conjures one with magic, prompting Wood to admire its convenience. Completely upstaged, a defeated Rin stands frozen in silent frustration. She retreats to sulk behind a tree, feeling utterly useless. As smoke rises from their campfire, a satisfied voice declares the meal delicious. Kella praises Wood for the good meal, and he humbly accepts the thanks. Noticing Rin's gloom, Kella asks if she's going to eat, but she sullenly replies that she's all right. Cyrils cheerfully offers to eat Rin's portion, and Rin numbly agrees. Kella watches Rin with concern as she continues to sulk in silence. Kella muses that they need some fruit, and Rin instantly perks up, eagerly volunteering to find some. Wood offers to go, but Kella stops him, insisting that Rin will be the one to find them. Kella gives Rin a knowing look, pointedly asking her to go. Reinvigorated, Rin dashes off, promising her master she'll bring back the most delicious fruits. Cyrils smirks, remarking to Wood what a simpleton Rin is. Cyrils asks if Kella sent Rin on purpose to cheer her up, but he denies it, claiming he just wanted fruit. Kella asks Wood about finding unicorns, and Wood confirms he can smell them nearby, remembering the scent from his youth. Kella still hopes for a dragon, but Cyrils exasperatedly insists there are no dragons here. Far from camp, Rin happily chants about finding delicious fruits for her master. She spots a fruit tree in the distance and excitedly exclaims, "There they are!" Determined to make her master happy and not be outdone by Wood, Rin scrambles up what looks like a massive tree trunk. Perfect. She finds a perfectly ripe apple at the top. Ooh-wah! The ground beneath her suddenly shakes and she cries out, thinking it's an earthquake. Ah! She freezes, realizing her mistake. A massive reptilian eye opens right beside her. Rin sits speechless atop the massive head of a slumbering dragon. Kiak. She lets out a piercing scream, finally realizing she's on a dragon. Back at the camp, Shreels asks Wood to explain his ability to feel the energy of the earth. Wood explains that while he can't describe it, he can sense the energy of nature within a certain range. Kella likens Wood's ability to looking at a map in a video game. Shreels smiles, noting it's a very useful ability for finding dungeons. Wood sheepishly admits the range of his ability isn't very far, questioning his own usefulness. Kella asks if training can increase the distance, and Wood confirms there is one way. Wood reveals that consuming the clairvoyant stone of a dragon over a millennium old would expand his sensory range hundreds of times. Kella is stunned by the incredible power-up, exclaiming that it's amazing. Shreels is dismissive, stating that finding a dragon is nearly impossible, and killing one is even harder. Kella turns to Shreels, seriously asking if dragons are really that strong. She confirms that dragons are nature's apex predators and, furthermore, they despise demons. Shreels explains that only a very few humans with exceptional mental fortitude are capable of taming dragons. Kella finds it ironic that weak humans are the only ones capable of taming such powerful creatures. Shreels just laughs, advising him not to even try to understand the ways of dragons. Kella ponders the power of a clairvoyant stone, wishing they could find one. Shreels firmly shuts him down, telling him to give up because there's no way they can find a dragon. Kella agrees with Shreels' grim assessment, while Wood wishes they could find a clairvoyant stone for him. Grah! The dragon roars as a terrified Rin screams for her master to save her. The group turns in shock at the sight of the massive dragon, and Wood gasps that it's big. Kella yells at everyone to run, and demands answers from Shreels, who insisted they wouldn't find a dragon. Grah! The drooling dragon roars again as Shreels shouts back that she's never seen one this enormous. Kia, as Rin continues screaming, someone yells at her to be quiet before she attracts its attention. Far away, the robed woman Curley hears the dragon's distant roar. She pauses, recognizing the sound of a dragon. The sound of the dragon's flapping wings echoes across the forest. Hiding behind rocks, the exhausted party watches as the massive dragon scans the area for them. The dragon spreads its wings and finally flies away. Shreels peeks out from cover, sighing in relief that the beast is gone. Shreels furiously shakes a crying Rin, demanding to know what she brought back, and Rin tearfully apologizes. Wood comments on the dragon's immense size, speculating it must have lived for over a millennium. Kella has a spark of realization, realizing an ancient dragon means it would have a clairvoyant stone. He pumps his fist, excitedly declaring that this is their chance. The group sits together, looking up in confusion as someone asks, "Who?" Shreels stands in shock, identifying their new arrival as Curley of the Tarkan of White. The others are horrified, with Kella realizing they've already been found by their pursuers. Kella shouts for everyone to prepare for battle, as he summons a bow of blue energy. Curley walks toward them with an unnerving calm. Shreels warns the group that Curley is infamous as a merciless, cold-blooded mage. Kella rages, frustrated that his dream of a peaceful life is constantly interrupted by danger. He glares at Curley, exasperated to be facing a cold-blooded mage now. Curley calmly tells them to relax, stating there's no need for them to fight. Her words catch Kella off guard, leaving him confused. Curley addresses Cyril as a traitor, declaring that fighting here is meaningless. Stunned into silence, Shreels grits her teeth in fury. Curley unleashes a torrent of ice magic, threatening that she could kill them all with a single spell. Kella frantically asks Shreels if Curley is bluffing, but Shreels confirms the threat is real. With grim certainty, Shreels admits that Curley is stronger than all of them combined. Rin panics, grabbing onto Wood as she asks what they're supposed to do. Curley offers an ultimatum: follow her without trouble, and they won't have to fight. She maintains her powerful ice spell, ready to strike at any moment. Keeping his magic bow aimed, Kella warily asks where she intends to take them. Curley's glowing blue eye narrows as she reveals their destination. She states they are going to her captain, the white-haired swordsman named Killian. Curley reveals she is taking them to her captain, Killian. Rin and Shreels react with terror, recognizing the name White Killian, and realizing he is on the move. Curley explains her captain is looking for Kella Khaldun and orders them to follow. Kella realizes that going with her means walking straight to his death. Curley waits impassively, her ice spell still crackling with power. She gives him a chilling look, suggesting that surrender might at least let him live a little longer. Furious, Kella thinks he can't die so pathetically after dreaming of living like he was in a game. He decides he'd rather fight, then surrender to certain death. Refusing to surrender, Kella unleashes a powerful magic arrow. Curley effortlessly erects a glowing hexagonal shield, blocking his attack. Strills yells for everyone to attack, firing a blast of purple magic from her staff. The purple energy explodes against Curley's unwavering shield. Wood prepares to join the fight, readying his own powers. Wood joins the fray, channeling the power of nature through the grass to strike Curley's shield. Both Strills' and Wood's magic explodes against the hexagonal barrier, but Curley remains completely unfazed. Refusing to be dead weight, Rin resolves to fight and prove her worth to Sir Kella. Here, Rin charges forward with dark energy, shouting that she will protect her master. Strills cries out in alarm, warning Rin that a close-range attack won't work. Curley calmly accepts Rin's challenge, acknowledging her choice to fight. Rin is caught in a blast of ice as Curley retaliates. Kaya. A massive shard of ice erupts from the ground, violently throwing Rin backward. Coke. Rin lies defeated on the ground, unable to move. Curley forms a hand sign, coldly deciding she'll just bring Kella back as a corpse. She unleashes her ultimate spell, a devastating blizzard. Strills frantically yells for everyone to huddle behind her as she conjures a defensive barrier. The blizzard crashes against Strills' purple energy shield with immense force. From within the shield, Kella anxiously checks on the fallen Rin. Rin cries, apologizing to Kella for being useless once again. Frill shouts that it's not the time for apologies, warning that her shield won't last much longer. Desperate, Kella asks Shrills if she has any magic powerful enough to counter the blizzard. Shrills admits with grim certainty that the gap in their power levels is far too great. Curley continues to pour overwhelming ice magic into her attack. Shrills screams in panic as her protective shield begins to crack under the strain. Kella grits his teeth in terror, knowing what will happen if the shield fails. The entire party looks on in horror as Shrills cries out that they're all going to die. Desperate for a solution, Kella frantically searches his mind for any possible way out. Suddenly, Kella's eyes widen with a spark of an idea. He recalls the mysterious, powerful being in his consciousness, hoping he can call upon it now. Ah, Kella screams, trying to force his inner power to awaken as the shield shatters. Shrills warns him to stop, shouting that using his strength will only break the shield faster. Ignoring her pleas, Kella screams for the entity within him to come out. Far away, the ancient dragon turns, seemingly hearing his desperate call. The dragon looks toward the battle, its attention captured. Grrr! The dragon's eye narrows, focusing on the distant struggle. Curley pauses, finally sensing Hell Khaldun's energy erupting from Kella as he exerts himself. She now understands why her previous attempts to locate him had failed. Even so, she coldly declares that this is the end for them. Kella struggles in frustration, unable to access his inner consciousness. He panics, questioning why the power that saves him near death isn't appearing. Shrill screams in terror that the shield is breaking. With a final explosive crash, the protective barrier shatters completely. No, Kella shouts in despair as the blizzard is about to consume them. In a flash, the massive dragon swoops down from the sky, intercepting Curley's attack. The dragon lands directly in front of the party, shielding them as they stare in shock. Kella watches in disbelief, realizing the dragon is protecting them. Curley looks on, bewildered, and questions why the dragon would intervene. The dragon roars, effortlessly deflecting the remainder of the powerful ice spell. A stunned Kella reaches out and gently touches the dragon's snout. A connection flashes between them as their eyes meet. Kella receives a vision, realizing he's witnessing the dragon's memories. He sees a smiling, horned woman and recognizes her as his mother. The memory reveals his mother playing with the dragon, confirming the beast knew her. He witnesses a bittersweet and tender memory of his mother embracing the young dragon. The dragon telepathically sends Kella a single, urgent command: run away. Kella recoils in shock, questioning if he truly just heard the dragon's voice. The great beast spits out a glowing, eye-like red orb. Kella catches the mysterious red sphere, demanding to know what it is. The dragon reveals that the object is its clairvoyant stone. Stunned, Kella asks why the dragon would give such a precious item to him. With no time to explain, the dragon urges him to hide his power and flee immediately. Kella is shocked by the command to conceal his abilities and run. Grrr, the dragon roars again, desperately telling him to hurry. To buy them time, the dragon unleashes a torrent of fire at their enemy. The blast crashes against Curley's hexagonal shield as she watches in surprise. She wonders aloud why a dragon would be helping a demon. Realizing there's no time to hesitate, Kella makes a decision. He yells for his party to run as the dragon provides a distraction. Annoyed by the powerful dragon's interference, Curley wonders why it had to appear now. She acknowledges that this unexpected turn of events gives her much to consider. Growling with determination, the dragon prepares another attack. It launches a second, even more powerful stream of fire. The fiery explosion completely engulfs Curley's shield. Unfazed, Curley taunts the dragon, asking if that was its best attack. Her eyes glow with frigid power as she declares she'll have to exert herself. Raising her hands, she summons a massive, glowing magic circle in the sky. Curley unleashes her ultimate spell, Meteor. A colossal shard of ice plummets toward the dragon. The dragon fires its breath weapon skyward, attempting to intercept the attack. Its eye narrows with focus as it struggles against the overwhelming magic. The massive ice meteor smashes down with devastating force. Kella glances back, watching the catastrophic impact in horror. The meteor shatters against the dragon's back, leaving it mortally wounded. Curley approaches the fallen beast, musing that the more she thinks about it, the stranger it is for a dragon to help demons. She decides she'll look into its memories before it dies. Grrr. The dragon's eye burns with hatred as she gets closer. As Curley reaches for it, the dragon's body begins to glow with immense heat. Its final thought is a curse upon the selfish and cruel humans. It warns Curley that they will one day regret everything they've done. The dragon self-destructs, encasing its own body in a massive ice crystal. Curley watches dispassionately, noting that the dragon ended its own life. She realizes the sacrifice was a diversion to help Kella hide and run away. Crushing a glowing butterfly, she remarks that this has become troublesome. She declares that this changes nothing for her target, Kella Khaldun. Releasing more magic butterflies, she vows that he is fated to be killed by the White Talkans. Elsewhere, the party catches its breath, confused by the dragon that attacked and then saved them. Thrills clarifies that it was trying to help Kella specifically, asking if he knows why. Kella reveals that he saw its memories and thinks the dragon knew his mother. Rin finds this strange, questioning why a dragon would help a demon and wondering about their backstory. Kella admits he doesn't know the details, but sensed a bittersweet feeling from their connection. When asked what the dragon gave him, he reveals the red clairvoyant stone. The party is stunned, realizing the dragon not only saved them, but also gifted them its precious stone. Thrills speculates that they were just saved by the queen. Kella clenches the glowing stone, certain there was a profound connection between his mother and the dragon. Kella offers the red clairvoyant stone to Wood, insisting he should take the lucky find. Thrills urgently reminds Wood that the Talkan of White are pursuing them, and they must prepare for a fight. Wood hesitates, humbled by the rarity of the stone and asking if he's truly worthy of it. Kella reassures him, stating that only Wood can use it, and urges him to eat it quickly. Accepting his role, Wood raises the glowing red stone to his lips. He consumes the clairvoyant stone in a single motion. Hupwood gasps as a strange power begins to surge through his body. Ah, he cries out as the stone's power overwhelms him, his eyes glowing red. His eye blazes with an intense, crimson light as he is plunged into a vision. The vision reveals a dragon-like creature's past, recalling its time as a tortured lab rat for human experiments. He remembers the cruel, hooded figures who experimented on him without any regard for his suffering. The torture continued for generations as humans endlessly ripped his body apart for their research. His memories are a blur of endless pain and rage. A sinister voice notes that the creature, broken by torment, no longer even cries. Just as he had resigned himself to death, a cataclysmic explosion rocked the facility. A powerful, blue-haired demon appeared, vowing to slaughter every last human in a furious rampage. During the chaos of the demon's attack, the laboratory was utterly destroyed, and that was how the tormented creature finally escaped from its hellish prison. Free at last, he took to the skies, searching for other dragons. He found his kin and warned them of humanity's cruelty, urging them to ally with demons. But his plea was met with an unexpected and cold reception. To his shock, he discovered the other dragons were already allied with humans, fighting against the demons. He realized the bitter truth. The dragon's bond with humans was built on the hidden sacrifices of his kind. The humans had experimented on captured dragons to learn their secrets and how to befriend them. Their ultimate goal was to steal and master the dragon's powerful magic. But the other dragons, already enemies of the demons, refused to believe his warnings about the humans. Misunderstanding his intentions, they believed he meant to harm their human allies and cast him out. Alone and rejected, he was left with only his sorrow. And so, he chose a life of isolation. He fell into a deep, lonely slumber, surrounded by endless darkness. But his long solitude was interrupted by the sound of a crying child. A small, horned child with white hair stood before his sleeping form. Looking up at the massive beast, the child tearfully called out, "Mommy?" "What?" The dragon's eyes snapped open in complete bewilderment. Crying for her mommy, the small child ran straight toward the enormous dragon. "Oui!" She threw her arms around its giant snout, refusing to let go. She clung to him, wailing desperately for her mother. With tears welling in its own eyes, the dragon gently thought, "I'm not your mother." Looking at the small child, he realized he had perhaps just found a new reason to live. The vision reveals the child's name was Cariste, and Kella realizes Rin is a dragon. The vision shifts, revealing Cariste's own past. While Wood was tortured by humans, she was experimented on by demons. She was a captive of Tarsica, a hostile and independent faction of demons. Through their cruel experiments, Tarsica analyzed the secrets of dragon magic. They sought to create a new form of magic powerful enough to subjugate all dragons. As soon as Cariste hatched from her egg, she was captured by Tarsica for their experiments. Among all their subjects, Cariste possessed the highest magical potential. From birth, she could already use transformation, one of the most difficult forms of dragon magic. This rare ability was the primary reason she was singled out for such intense experimentation. Trapped in constant despair and agony, she instinctively developed teleportation magic all on her own. The vision reveals Cariste as a small, lost child, crying as she wandered alone. Her lonely journey continued until the day she finally met the dragon. He believed their shared painful fates drew her to him, or perhaps it was just a coincidence. But because they had both lived such agonizing lives, it was impossible to act like strangers. The small horned child looks up at him, cautiously asking, "Master!" The dragon clarifies that he is not her parent and instructs her to call him Master from now on. Wow, okay. Overjoyed, Cariste happily accepts, shouting his new title. From then on, the dragon taught Cariste everything he knew as she slept peacefully beside him. He taught her about the world's workings and the proper way for a dragon to live. He also passed on all the dragon magic he had learned, which she practiced with glee. Their time together was often spent soaring high above the mountains. Unlike his agonizing past, the years with Cariste flew by happily as they shared meals by the fire. One day, the dragon suddenly thanks a surprised Cariste. He closes his eyes, explaining that he simply wanted to express his gratitude. A curious Cariste smiles, asking for the reason behind his thanks. He remembers the joy of watching her grow, from a small child clinging to him, to a young woman whose laughter brought him a happiness he couldn't put into words. Her presence helped soothe the immense pain he carried from being born a dragon. As Cariste smiles serenely, their peace is shattered by an unexpected change. The dragon suddenly stares at her, his eyes filled with confusion. A grown Cariste notices his strange behavior and asks what's wrong. Forgetting who she is, the dragon demands her identity, leaving Cariste baffled. His mind fogs over as he struggles to recognize her form. He aggressively demands she identify herself as either human or demon. Terrified, Cariste asks what's wrong and if he's testing her. In his delirium, the dragon unleashes a devastating attack on his own student. He recalls that his lifespan, shortened by brutal experiments, was beginning to fail him. His body and mind were starting to break down as they reached their limits. Thrown to the ground, Cariste tearfully pleads with him, asking if he truly can't remember her. "Ah." Her voice breaks through the haze, and he faintly utters her name. Relieved, Cariste asks if he remembers her now and if he's all right. The dragon apologizes profusely, horrified that he attacked her. He realized with despair that the day would come when his memory would fail completely. Later, a worried Cariste calls out into the woods, trying to find her master. Unable to locate him, she breaks down, screaming his name in anguish. The dragon reflects on dwelling in nostalgic memories of Caliste, trapped in a painful cycle of remembering and forgetting her. A soft floral memory marks the passage of his fading time. A single tear of sorrow escapes the dragon's eye as he remembers. Suddenly, his head jerks up, his attention caught by a distant sensation. He immediately takes to the skies to investigate the feeling. Uwa Wood's vision concludes as he cries out, having connected to the dragon's powerful energy. In the present, the very same dragon from the vision takes flight. He stops mid-air, startled by a familiar presence. His eye widens in shock as he recognizes the energy he feels. Overwhelmed with emotion, he realizes it's Cariste's energy. Tears well in his eyes as he thinks of his precious disciple. No, his daughter. The memory of her as a lost child flashes in his mind as he thinks of his lovely daughter. He roars with conviction, knowing for certain that it is her energy. Kra. The dragon roars in anguish and recognition, screaming Cariste's name. As the party flees through the forest, the story cuts back to their location. The focus returns to Kella, who is still running for his life. The dragon descends before them, intercepting an ice attack from Curley. In a flashback, the dragon recalls that even in the heat of battle, he could tell that the young demon boy was undoubtedly Cariste's child. He had seen it in a brief glimpse into the boy's memories. The vision revealed Caliste as a mother, lovingly holding her infant son. Filled with a new purpose, the dragon resolves to protect his daughter's child. He unleashes a torrent of fire, beginning the fight that will save them. His final thoughts are of gratitude to his beloved Caliste. In his dying moments, he imagines her curled up beside him one last time. He muses that at the end of his life, he was glad to see her child. His heart fills with a father's love as he thinks, "I love you, my daughter." The vision ends, and Wood looks up, tears streaming down his face. Overwhelmed by the flood of emotion, he collapses to his knees. Shrills asks if he's okay, and Wood explains that he received ancient memories. He laments that the memories vanish like a dream, the harder he tries to recall them. Crying, Wood reveals the one thing he knows for sure. The dragon died a happy death. Kella is stunned, questioning how the dragon's end could have been happy. He grimly concludes that the dragon must have been killed by Curley. The image of the dragon's icy prison confirms his devastating sacrifice. A voice breaks the silence, disbelievingly asking if Wood truly remembers nothing. Rin shakes Wood, frustrated that he can't recall the memories that made him cry, and he apologizes. Wood speculates that his ability may not manifest instantly, but rather develop over time. He worries his ability might be lacking, but Shrill shouts that he still has a long way to go. Rin asks what to do now, since they have to wait for Wood's skill to develop while on the run. Taking command, Kella decides they must find a defensible location and asks Shrills for a map. Shrills displays a map showing the human kingdom of Tulua and the former demon kingdom. She indicates they are on the border, prompting Kella to weigh their options. Kella studies the map and decides heading south is their best course of action. Shrills and Rin are shocked, questioning his choice to go south instead of deeper into demon territory. Kella speculates his father sent him to human territory for a reason, which included meeting Shrills. He believes his father predicted a full-scale human invasion of demon lands after his death. Rin agrees, confirming that after the Demon King died, all of humanity united to exterminate demon folk. Shrill suggests this means they must rally the demons behind Kella to fight back. Kella dismisses the idea as impossible, since he's known as the coward who abandoned his people. He believes no one will follow him, as he lacks the power to rally them. Rin points out that without his father, there's no way to prove Kella is the rightful heir. Rin somberly admits her actions in Tarkan make it difficult for her to earn forgiveness. Kella lays out their first goal: create a dungeon for a home base and start building achievements. He declares that to earn the demon's loyalty, he must first prove his strength. Shrills and Rin enthusiastically support the plan to build Kella's reputation through great deeds. Shrills envisions that by stacking achievements, Kella will become the next Demon King. Kella reiterates the strategy: establish their position and create a home-based dungeon in the south. Yeah, the party cheers united and ready to begin their new mission. Kella feels a sense of relief that his comrades are following his plan so willingly. He reflects on finally gathering his party, only to be hunted by incredibly powerful foes. The image of their pursuer, Curley, flashes in his mind. Kella resolves to learn more, realizing he needs more information to survive what's to come. Kella reflects that everything in this world, from its magic to its monsters, is uncannily familiar, like a game he once played. He ponders the significance of the link between this world and his previous life. He resolves to use his status as the Demon King's son to his advantage. Combining his royal status with his gamer knowledge, he will forge a new survival strategy. Determined, he vows that he will find a path to victory and not die in vain. Kuwa. The scene cuts to a demon village being razed by fire as its inhabitants scream in terror. A demon father, clutching his crying child, desperately surrenders and offers to side with the humans, begging for mercy. Kuwa, a figure wreathed in dark blue flames, ignores his pleas and unleashes another attack. A smug boy with gray hair mockingly asks if the dying demon said something, feigning he couldn't hear. A demon elder furiously condemns the attackers, shouting that they are cruel bastards for slaughtering them after they surrendered. A human axe is raised, as a voice declares that demons should just be quiet and die. As the blade swings down with brutal force, Gya, a blonde warrior named Audria, savagely cuts down a resisting demon. Kyuk, she grunts as her axe drips with blood. An armored captain reports to his leader, "We're all done here, Captain." The captain's expression shifts to surprise as he senses something. Elsewhere, a white-haired knight discusses the situation, confirming that a dragon mysteriously helped Kella escape. He notes that Kella was found near the boundary, not far from the Earth Demon territory. A hooded woman reports that she is currently using her butterflies to search for him. The knight reasons that Kella won't return to the demon territory, which is now a sea of flames. The hooded woman suggests they regroup and head to where Curley is. Audria furiously objects, insisting they should seize the opportunity to exterminate all the remaining demons. The white-haired knight calmly tells Audria that killing the rest can wait until after they've eliminated Kella. He smiles with cold malice, vowing to obliterate the bloodline that killed his brother, no matter how quickly he must act. Ugh. Back with the party, Kella grits his teeth in frustration. After riding south for a week, the party feels the sudden cold, having traveled far from their pursuers. Kella notes with relief that they haven't been followed by Tarkan, hoping their escape is clean. With a determined gaze, he announces that his preparations are complete. The party's unicorn mounts suddenly stop, prompting Rin to ask what's wrong. Wood explains that their mounts are strongly refusing to go any further into the harsh terrain. He adds that the unicorns sense they can't survive the environment, but Kella assures him they've already arrived at their destination. Wood gently thanks his unicorn and wishes it a safe journey home. The party stands alone in the bleak, snowy wilderness as their mounts gallop away. As his companions shiver, Kella explains this harsh weather is perfect for a base, as it will deter both humans and demons. A feral grin on his face, Kella announces it's time to find a good location. The unicorns gallop through a desolate, moonlit landscape. A single glowing blue butterfly flutters through the night, silently observing. Far away, the hooded woman senses the unicorns moving north and finds it strange, as they fear the cold. Her suspicion grows as she realizes there are 4 of them, a potential clue to the party's size. Kella's group arrives at a barren coastline, and he identifies a cave on a nearby island as their safest bet. When Kella asks Wood to scout for life, Wood apologizes, explaining his mind's eye can only sense nature, not living beings. Rin inspects some weathered boats, concluding that no one has traveled to the island in a long time. Kella asks if the boats are usable, and she confirms they seem fine. The group sets out across the water, the island being about 200 meters from the coast. Though the distance is short, the water is deep, and the waves are strong, making for a treacherous crossing. Kella looks toward the island, confident its isolation will make it easy to detect any approaching invaders. Arriving at the cave, Kella asks Rin to secure the entrance, which she agrees to do easily. Rin casts a spell, erecting a purple grid-like energy barrier to seal the cave's entrance. Inside, the group surveys their new, ancient-looking shelter, and Kella suggests they explore. Kella then turns to Wood, asking him to finally share the specifics of the dragon's memories. Wood explains the cave's layout, noting a deeper room with a single entrance and a small exit. Kella proposes they split into 2 teams to explore both paths and meet up in the middle. Surreals enthusiastically volunteers to go with Kella, much to Rin's visible shock and dismay. Rin protests, grabbing Kella and insisting that she will be the one to go with him. Flustered, Rin argues that, for safety, the 2 strongest members of the party should split up. Convinced by her own logic, Rin decides she'll go with Wood, and Shrills considers the new plan. Shrills bluntly informs Wood that despite being partners, she still doesn't trust him. Wood, taken aback by her sudden hostility, asks what she's talking about. Shrills explains she is only tolerating him because Kella chose him, not because she accepts him as a comrade. A tense silence falls as Shrills and Wood lock eyes, their distrust clear. Wood scoffs, telling her not to bother calling him a comrade and to just think of him as a slave. Shrills is left speechless by his surprisingly defiant and self-deprecating response. She turns away, coldly stating that she doesn't like him. Wood looks down, hurt by her final, cutting remark. Elsewhere in the cave, Kella mentions needing lightstones, and Rin eagerly volunteers to research them. Rin frantically warns Kella to watch his step, pointing out a small rock on the path. Kella watches with a deadpan expression as Rin beams proudly, wondering about her intense motivation. Kella stops in his tracks, shocked to see a real-life slime right in front of him. He beams with excitement, admitting he's only seen them in games and has always wanted to touch one. Gasp! Rin erupts in a furious burst of energy, yelling at the slime for daring to appear. She charges forward, vowing to evaporate the creature for blocking Kella's path. Leaving him stunned, Rin gathers dark magic in her hands, ready to obliterate the unsuspecting slime. She glances back expectantly, but Kella just wonders if she's waiting for a compliment. Kella begrudgingly praises her, and Rin beams, thanking him and promising to handle everything. A sudden tremor shakes the cavern, and Kella and Rin look up in alarm. A massive stone golem with a single glowing red eye rises before them. Kella yells at Rin to get behind him, but she stubbornly refuses his order. Stepping forward, Rin defiantly declares she will take care of any obstacle in their way. In the other tunnel, Shrills gasps in surprise at a discovery of her own. She pulls a beautiful crystal necklace from a chest, excitedly realizing they found a treasure dungeon. Shrills models the necklace, smugly asking Wood if it looks good on her. Wood gives a completely unenthusiastic sure, much to her annoyance. Shrills glares, clearly disappointed by his lack of a reaction. Rin joins them, gushing that Commander Shrills looks cool, and they decide to hunt for more treasure. Shrill's happy mood vanishes as she senses danger, declaring she doesn't like this feeling. Wood looks on silently, his expression serious as he also feels the disturbance. Whoa. Ack! The golem smashes its fist down, sending Rin flying from the impact. Rin unleashes a magical assault, determined to destroy the golem on her own. Kyuhook. Her attack proves futile, shattering against the golem's tough exterior. The backlash throws Rin backward as she coughs up blood from the strain. Kella shouts that their attacks are useless and they can't defeat it without weapons. No! I can do this. Rin shouts back, refusing to give up the fight. Kyug. She pushes herself past her limits, launching another desperate attack. Kella yells Rin's name, frantic as he asks why she's pushing herself so hard. Ugh. Rin strains against the golem's immense power, her own energy faltering. She grits her teeth, crying out that if she fails, she won't be able to serve as his attendant. Kella is stunned into silence, questioning what she just said. With bloody tears in her eyes, Rin pushes forward with fierce determination. In a flashback, a young Kella asks his father if he wants to be friends with an attendant. Crying, the young Kella declares, "Yes, father, I want to be friends with Rin." In the flashback, Kayla's father coldly dismisses his son's desire for friendship, stating an attendant is merely an attendant. Sniff young Kella cries softly as young Rin stands beside him with a concerned expression. A crying Kella apologizes to Rin and, in the name of Kella Khaldun, formally accepts her as his attendant, bringing a blush to her face. Rin recalls how Kella wanting to be her friend, not just her master, was enough to make her happy. The memory shows a younger Kella sleeping peacefully. A determined young Rin vows that she will work incredibly hard for him. The scene transitions to the castle exterior, indicating the passage of time. However, Kella grew up a coward, constantly tormented and nearly killed by his own siblings. A terrified Kella runs to Rin after another near-death experience, and she sternly reminds him that his death means her death too. Rin recalls acting cold and strict with him, trying desperately to toughen him up. Because of her devotion to the weak Kella, she was ostracized by the other attendants, who cruelly threatened her. She was forced to eat disgusting scraps, with others callously saying it was good enough since she'd die with Kella anyway. Kaya! Her torment continued as she was even splashed with what appears to be molten lava. Shunned by all, she was forced to sleep alone in the stables with the animals, but even there she found no safety, as her bullies would hunt her down to continue their torment. The cruel attendants corner her, taunting her with a dagger and threatening to disfigure her. A terrified Rin pleads with them to stop, her body trembling with fear. In her despair, Rin realizes that due to their contract, if she dies, Kella will also die. Yeah. Believing it would be better if they died together, she attempts suicide, slashing her own throat. To her shock, she survives the fatal wound, wondering about her own mysterious recovery power. Sobbing, she questions why she can't even die when she wants to, feeling utterly trapped. She remembers Kella finding her, and the two of them crying and apologizing to each other. Rin's monologue continues, explaining that Kella suddenly and completely changed overnight. She declares that he became an entirely different person. The current Kella, radiating power, now seems like a true heir to the Demon King, ending her flashback. Back in the present, Rin blasts the golem's fist with a powerful magic attack. She believes that she has only ever been a burden to Kella. Continuing her desperate thought, she feels that if she just keeps getting in his way. Her magical assault strikes the golem's single eye with explosive force. Then she shouldn't be by his side, unleashing all her power in a final, massive blast. The attack erupts, shaking the entire cave and kicking up a cloud of dust and debris. Bleeding and exhausted, Rin cries that she never wants to be abandoned by him. Kella watches her, his expression serious as he says her name. The massive golem raises its stone fist, preparing to crush the weakened Rin. Rin looks up in sheer terror, defenseless against the incoming blow. In a flash of blue light, Kella appears in front of the golem's attack. He unleashes a powerful counterattack of his own, meeting the golem's fist head-on. The ground shatters from the immense force of Kella's intervention. Kella catches the falling Rin, admonishing her for risking her life to protect him. He looks at her intensely, asking why he would ever abandon such a dedicated attendant. Overwhelmed with emotion, a stunned Rin can only whisper his name. Kella grins fiercely, telling her he won't let her run away again, and warning her not to regret it. Sniff, tears of joy and relief stream down Rin's face. Wah! Crying his name, she throws her arms around him in an emotional hug. Kella internally reflects that, having shared her memories, he now understands her feelings are genuine. He resolves that for the sake of their future, he must make Rin the strongest attendant. This story title is displayed over a promotional art piece. Back in the treasure cave, a voice declares this is the first strategy as a slime monster floats into view. Shrills excitedly finds a diamond bracelet, planning to show it to Lin, while Wood wryly calls her Lord Thrills. Thrills glares at Wood, defensively stating she isn't giving him the bracelet and is annoyed by his lack of interest. Wood looks at Shrills with a knowing expression, asking if she's truly unaware or just pretending. Confused, Shrills asks what he means as the bracelet on her wrist begins to glow ominously. The bracelet tightens, magically binding her wrists together as she lets out a silent cry of shock. Struggling against the bonds, she gasps as a monstrous silhouette appears, realizing she's fallen into a trap. Shrills recognizes the massive creature in horror as a treasure spider, shocked that one lives in this cave. Wood confirms the creature's identity, explaining that he sensed the gem was merely the monster's bait. Graw. As the spider looms, Shrills furiously yells at Wood for knowing it was a trap and not warning her. Wood calmly explains he was watching, assuming Lord Thrills was aware of the danger as the spider lunges. He continues, stating that he simply thought she must have had a separate plan in mind. Ugh, Shrills grunts in frustration, admitting she was careless and can't summon her staff while bound. Realizing she must trust Wood, she quickly changes her tune, loudly declaring she got caught on purpose. She proclaims it was a test of Wood's strength, but he just stares back blankly and asks, "A test?" Panicked, Shrila explains she's tied to the gem's web and demands to know what he's going to do. Drawing a dagger, Wood calmly announces that he will release the gem for her. He moves swiftly, bringing the dagger down to slice through the magical binding on her wrists. Shrill shouts for him to stop, warning that a treasure spider's barrier cannot be broken by physical attacks. Wood pauses, holding her hands and looking at her with a thoughtful, almost curious expression. Without warning, the treasure spider spews a volley of bright green acid. Wood throws himself in front of Shrills, shielding her as she screams that the spider acid will melt him instantly. Shoving her aside, Wood assesses the barren ground, realizing there are no roots he can use for his powers. Thrills furiously yells that the monster would be a one-hit kill if she could use magic, demanding he do something. Ugh. The spider spits more acid, and Wood takes another hit while defending Thrills. The monster slams its leg down, sending a bound Thrills flying to the ground with a gasp. Cursing the creature, Thrills realizes it's targeting her first because she's trapped by the barrier. The treasure spider poises one of its sharp legs, preparing to impale the helpless Thrills. Staring up in disbelief, Thrills rages at the thought of being defeated by such a trivial monster. Wood intercepts the blow, letting the spider's leg pierce his arm as Thrills looks on in utter shock. Clutching his wounded arm, Wood explains he's following her instructions to free her so she can use her magic. Hee. As the monster recoils, Wood declares he'll do something and drives his dagger into his own bleeding arm. Empowering his bloodied dagger with blue energy, Wood prepares to shatter the magical bonds. With a flash of light, the restraints break, and Thrills stares at her freed hands in disbelief. Kihak, the spider shrieks and impales Wood straight through the chest. Wood, Shrill screams in horror as she witnesses the brutal, possibly fatal blow. Collapsing toward her, a mortally wounded Wood asks her to please take care of the rear. He calls her Lord Thrills one last time as she stares, her eyes glowing with intense red power. Enraged, Srila summons her magnificent staff, questioning how a mere insect dared to mock her. Her eye glares with pure fury as she completes her thought, seething at being mocked. Unleashing her power, she incinerates the monster with a massive magical attack called Purple Torch. The purple flames completely consume the treasure spider, leaving nothing behind. Cough. Thrills coughs up blood, weakened from the immense power she just unleashed. She stumbles, turning to face Wood, who has collapsed on the cave floor. Looking down at him, she demands to know how he managed to release the gem's barrier. He explains his hypothesis. He thought that using part of the spider's own body would bypass its barrier. Thrills stares at him intently, asking if he would have died if his prediction had been wrong. Wood looks up at her and declares that his life doesn't matter, only that he followed Lord Thrills' command. Thrills is left utterly speechless, her expression unreadable as she gazes down at him. The scene shifts to a flashback of a younger, wounded Thrills getting stabbed during a duel. In the memory, she stands over her defeated opponent, telling him, "Got you," as he realizes she let him attack her on purpose. She smiles with grim satisfaction, confirming that she intentionally took the hit. A man in armor praises her ruthless strategy, offering her belly to take the enemy's head. The armored man remarks that if the stab had been even slightly off, she would have died. In the memory, a bloodied Thrills states that her life is irrelevant. She only follows orders to kill. The man reflects on her statement, thinking to himself that she is a stubborn one. Still impaled, the younger Thrills is told that she has passed the test, concluding the flashback. Returning to the present, Thrills looks down at Wood, her inner thoughts trailing off as she re-evaluates him. Wood lies unconscious and wounded on the cavern floor after sacrificing himself to save her. Thrills internally acknowledges that the boy risked his life to protect her. Looking down at the wounded Wood, she declares, "Pass," to which he weakly responds, "Yes." Wood looks up, stunned into silence, as Thrills announces that she will acknowledge him as a companion. She stares down at him with intensity, clarifying that her acknowledgement is a command. Wood's eyes widen in shock at the gravity of her words. Now kneeling before her, Wood accepts her command, vowing to keep it in mind. The scene shifts to Kella calling for Lady Thrills, as Thrills cries out, "No, Len! What happened to you?" Upon seeing Rin's condition, Thrills angrily confronts Kella about Rin's injuries, but Rin defends him, explaining that she insisted on fighting alone. Kella counters, pointing to the injured Wood and asking Thrills what she did, questioning if she also fought a treasure spider. Confused, Thrills asks what that is, and Kella explains they fought a golem, to her surprise. Thrills finds the combination of a golem and a treasure spider in one dungeon odd, and wonders if there's a secret. Kella observes the dungeon's architecture, noting it seems to be a mix of Demon King and human designs. His attention is drawn to a large, suspicious box resting at the feet of a horned statue. Rin's eyes gleam with excitement as she asks if it could be a treasure chest, while Wood looks on skeptically. Thrills eagerly agrees, praising Rin's sharp eye and declaring they should open it right away. As they get closer, the statue's eyes glow menacingly, and Kella senses danger, yelling for them to wait. Kella tackles Thrills, shouting, Get down! As laser beams shoot from the statue's eyes, striking the ground. Shrills and Rin are both stunned, realizing in disbelief that the box was a trap they never imagined. Kella angrily yells at them to get a clue, frustrated that they fell for such an obvious trap. The statue's eye glints with light as it prepares to fire another blast. Where? Shrills screams for everyone to dodge as she leaps away from another powerful laser beam. Rin and Wood get to their feet, declaring their intent to help in the fight. Kella orders the two of them to stay put, arguing they're a hindrance. Wood agrees, but Rin angrily calls him a newbie. Wood explains he's under orders from both Kella and Lady Thrills not to die, so he will focus on recovery. Grr. Rin grits her teeth in frustration, admitting to herself that he is right. As they kneel to recover their strength, Rin begs Lord Kella to hold out a little longer. Kella devises a plan, shouting that he'll draw the statue's attention while Shrills attacks its torso. While Kella unleashes a flurry of blue energy bolts, Shrills casts a powerful fireball spell. She watches in shock as her spell is nullified by a barrier, questioning its use against attack magic. Kella is aghast, realizing the statue can use multiple kinds of magic and questioning if that's possible. Shrills speculates that either a high-level mage pre-enchanted the statue, or there's something hidden inside the statue casting the magic. Kella immediately turns to Wood, asking if he can sense the statue's internal structure. Wood confirms that the inside of the statue has an empty structure. Kella deduces there's a high chance someone is hiding inside it. Shrills declares their first priority is to break the barrier and urges the others to try anything. Kella despairs, feeling helpless against a barrier that even Shrills' powerful magic couldn't scratch. The ground rumbles as rubble begins to coalesce into monstrous shapes. Kella looks on in shock as several new, larger golems rise from the ground. A dark, monstrous form begins to materialize from the shadows. A colossal treasure spider appears, towering over them as Shrills questions its immense size. Shrills unleashes Purple Torch, wondering if the last spider was just a baby as the giant shrieks in fury, tisk. The torch has no effect, and she grits her teeth, realizing this must be the mother. Seeing her magic fail, Kella charges forward to engage the giant spider directly. Frustrated by the enclosed space, Shrills laments not being able to use area of effect magic and asks Kella for ideas. Kella grunts as he parries a crushing blow from a massive golem. He internally seethes, knowing he could easily win if he unleashed his demonic power. Conflicted, he wonders what to do, as the memory of an angelic figure appears in his thoughts. Suddenly, he has an idea and shouts, "Wait a second!" His attention snaps to the horned statue, sensing something is wrong with it. Kella realizes that the statue's magic stopped right when the monsters appeared. Connecting the dots, Shrills asks if the statue is using its magic to control the monsters. Kella deduces the statue felt threatened when Shrills mentioned draining its energy, so it summoned the monsters for protection. He declares destroying the statue is their top priority, and asks Shrills to stall the monsters for a moment. Demanding to know his plan, Shrills unleashes a powerful firewall to hold back the enemies. As Kella dashes past the flames, he reasons that if the statue is controlling the monsters, then its defensive barrier must be down, and he prepares to strike. Ugh! He smashes into the statue as a shocked Shrills wonders if he managed to break through to the inside. The golems suddenly surround the statue, forming a protective wall. The golems then turn on Shrills, leaving her baffled as to why they are now targeting her. The massive treasure spider ignores her, moving with purpose towards the statue. Watching from the sidelines, Rin notes the spider is heading for the statue, and Wood speculates it's the only creature that can fit inside. The recovering Rin and Wood are suddenly attacked by the golems. Rin shouts that they're being targeted and have no choice but to fight together. Shrills yells back that they are in no shape to fight while preparing a defensive spell. She conjures a massive magical shield, blocking the golem's relentless assault. As Rin calls out to her, Shrills insists they must hold their ground and trust in Kella. Inside the hollow statue, Kella looks up and declares he's found what's controlling it. He forms a bow of pure energy, believing they can win if they just destroy that one target. Grah, an unseen force strikes Kella, slamming him to the ground. "Damn it!" he shouts, finding himself instantly trapped in thick webbing. He curses the terrible timing as the giant treasure spider looms over him from within the statue. Outside, Rin desperately yells for Kella to hurry, warning that their defenses won't hold much longer. "I want to, But Kella shouts back in frustration from inside his webbed prison. The giant spider raises its sharp legs, preparing for a final, deadly strike. Kella screams no as the monster lunges to kill him. His eye transforms into a reptilian slit as he considers unleashing his forbidden hell's power. A mysterious shadow entity appears behind him, berating him for his incompetence. Kella is abruptly pulled into a dark void, recognizing it as the abyss from before. The shadow figure taunts him for losing to weak monsters, leaving Kella utterly bewildered. Kella furiously demands to know why the entity is only appearing now, reminding it he almost died last time. The entity calls him a shameless brat, ordering him to use servant, a term Kella doesn't understand. The figure explains that Kella's servant skill can control monsters of this level, sparking a flicker of realization in him. Kella asks if it's like the attendant contract he made with Rin when they were children. That's not even close, you idiot, the entity roars, startling Kella, who then asks how to use the power. The entity reveals Kella possesses the blood of the great demon lords, and that servant is a power activated by strong desire. Kella's expression hardens as he contemplates the meaning of strong desire. The entity instructs him to unleash the greed engraved in his blood with the powerful will to make his opponent his. Focusing his will, Kella fiercely declares, "My desire." The entity explains that his desire can dominate all monsters weaker than his own potential. An electric energy crackles as Kella faces his inner demon, ready to seize his power. As a magical chain materializes above him, Kella's eye glows with a newly awakened power. The treasure spider senses the shift in power as Kella focuses his overwhelming desire to dominate it. "I, Kella Kulden, heir of the great demon lord, command you," he declares, causing the gem on the spider's head to glow. ZZZT, the gem on the spider's head cracks, unable to resist the overwhelming power of his command. Focusing his demonic will, Kella fiercely declares that he will make the monster his. The giant treasure spider falls silent, its ferocious eyes dimming as its will is broken. To his shock, the spider's deadly leg freezes just inches from his face. A virtual window appears before him, and he realizes with a start that his servant slots are just like item slots in a game. The once mighty treasure spider bows its head in complete and utter submission. Still bound by webs, Kella stares in disbelief, shocked that the power actually worked. Now fully tamed, the treasure spider peacefully rests before its new master. The thick webbing around Kella dissolves into dust, finally setting him free. Outside, Rin desperately screams for Kella to do something, shouting that Sril's barrier can't hold any longer against the golems. From inside the statue, Kella yells back, urging them to hang on for just a little longer. Riding atop his new servant, Kella decides one spider just isn't enough. At his command, the spider fires a new, blue energy attack toward another target. Kella unleashes his power once more, vowing to make the dungeon's true master his. The servant ability activates, casting glowing magical chains over a new, blue, armored monster. Kella's will overwhelms the new monsters as he commands it to become his. At that moment, the rampaging golems outside suddenly freeze in their tracks. Shrils and Rin stare in confusion from behind their shield as the golems stop their attack. Peeking from the broken statue, Wood points to the source of the sudden change. Kella emerges triumphant, riding the tamed spider and holding a small, crowned purple slime. With a smirk, he holds up his prize, declaring he's caught the little thing. He realizes this arrogant, magic-enhanced slime was the true master of the dungeon all along. To everyone's surprise, Kella begins gleefully squishing the slime, exclaiming over how soft it is. Srils observes that she couldn't sense the servant ability because she lacks Demon Lord's blood. Rin excitedly puts the pieces together, realizing the servant ability is how the Demon Lord controlled his armies. Kella announces that with the Dungeon Master now his servant, building their own dungeon will be much easier. He affectionately decides to name the slime Stone, much to Rin's flabbergasted reaction. Srils whines jealously, demanding to use the ability too, but Kella bluntly tells her it's useless to complain. Wood poses a grim question, wondering what happened to the powerful mage who must have created such an advanced slime. Rin guesses that the dungeon's former occupants probably just moved away long ago. Srils offers a darker theory. Perhaps they were wiped out in a battle with humans. Kella holds the slime, reflecting that it was left all alone, and is glad he was the one to find it. He thinks back to the mysterious entity from the abyss, knowing he would have died without its timely help. Kella quietly wonders under what conditions he might be able to meet that powerful being again. For now, he focuses on his new, squishy companion, who seems happy in his hands. Shaking off his deep thoughts, Kella rallies the group, declaring it's time to build their dungeon, starting with the map. By making stone his servant, Kella also gained control of all the monsters it ruled. To avoid being detected by a foe named Tarkan, he stationed flying monsters as lookouts. He then strategically placed spiderlings at the entrance and divided the golems to guard the dungeon's paths. Finally, he stationed the remaining golems and the mother spider in the central hall, ready to defend their new base. With the dungeon secured, it was time to equip themselves with the treasures from the statue's chest. Rin holds a pair of sharp new daggers, asking if they can really make her stronger. Kella confirms the daggers will allow her to concentrate her magic, making it stronger and denser. Rin channels her power, and a dark, crackling energy envelops the blades. Kella explains that with practice, she will be able to launch much sharper and more precise magical attacks. Fired up, Rin vows to master the daggers to protect Kella from the White Tarkan. Kella turns to Wood, questioning his choice of what appears to be a simple, old wooden shield. Wood explains the shield still holds the vitality of nature and insists it's the right choice for him. Kella accepts his decision, noting that Wood must have the sharp instincts of an elf. Thrills holds up an old magic book, saying it's the only thing she's taking, even if it doesn't seem to contain amazing spells. Thrills insists Kella take a powerful greatsword, feeling its strong magic makes it the best choice. He ignores her advice and chooses a simpler, elegant longsword, which Thrills thinks looks weak. Kella explains he is drawn to this sword because it reminds him of one he used in a game. He feels a sense of reunion with his past as he holds the sword, feeling like it's his old weapon. After they each chose their equipment, they began building their new dungeon using Kella's map. With the terrain barren, they created building materials by combining soil, stone, and water. The construction combined Wood's natural knowledge with Thrills' crafting magic. By blending the knowledge of the Earth Tribe and Arsel, a magnificent new dungeon city was born. Kella reflects that even though the dungeon was built under harsh conditions, he's proud to have designed it himself. He smiles, cherishing the chance to build a dungeon that is truly his, for the first and perhaps last time. Kella asks his slime, Stone, if it likes its new home inside a golden cage. He beams with satisfaction, glad to see his new companion seems happy. Kella muses that if they can avoid being found by Tarkan, living this way might not be so bad. A magical blue butterfly flutters into the night sky, carrying a message. The scene shifts to a grand city where a man named Lord Hayden is formally welcomed on behalf of Arsel. Inside, Hayden scolds an elder for the formalities, furious that Arsel is in such a state, but the elder blames the festival for their unpreparedness. Hayden furiously rejects the excuses, enraged that the great magic nation of Arsel fell to the traitor Thrills and the coward Kella. As the elder stands speechless, Hayden orders him to immediately summon the strongest mages of the 5 elements. Hayden declares he will provide enhancement stones from the king and will personally lead the mages into battle. The elder questions the deployment, nervously pointing out that the White Tarkan is already on the move. Hayden reveals that, since even the White Tarkan hasn't located them, this is Arsel's opportunity to act first. He argues that if they eliminate the traitors now, Arsel's prestige, which has fallen to the ground, can be restored. The elder expresses concern, warning that using Tulua's enhancement stones comes with the risk of side effects. Hayden scoffs at the elder's caution, asking how he can worry about mere side effects at a time like this. URK Hayden unleashes a surge of power, intimidating the fearful elder. Hayden angrily reminds the elder that he was the one who built Arsel to its current glory, not him. Threatening him, Hayden says he's lucky not to be killed as he magically chokes the terrified elder who apologizes profusely. Hayden demands the elder stop talking back and summon the mages, as he needs to justify the king's continued support. The grand castle of Arsel stands as a symbol of their power and history. Hayden strides purposefully through the city streets, a man on a mission. He resolves that their mages must find Kella before Tarkan does, certain that Kella will die at Killian's hands. A mysterious hooded figure appears, asking if Hayden wishes to find Kella, prompting him to demand their identity. The figure grins menacingly, stunning Hayden by offering to find Kella for him. Meanwhile, Kella sits uncomfortably on a grand throne, thinking it's too extravagant and makes him look like a demon king. Rin insists he'll become a great demon king eventually, so he deserves an impressive throne. The group dines on fish, as Rin points out that Kella needs a more balanced diet. Rin passionately declares that Lord Kella needs to eat well, volunteering to hunt further away for better food. Kella forbids it, worried she'll be discovered by Tarkan, but she retorts that he worries too much. He begrudgingly admits he's getting tired of fish and desperately craves meat. Wood offers to hunt for carnivorous animals, and Thrills asks if there are any nearby. Wood explains he can use his shield's life force to send roots underground and find animals, a method Rin dubs ground fishing. After 6 long hours, Rin impatiently yells at the meditating Wood, asking if he's even going to catch anything. Suddenly, Wood's eyes snap open, having detected something. He moves in a blur, his cloak whipping as he springs into action. Whoa. He returns in a flash, proudly declaring he's caught a massive, multi-eyed mole beast. Thrills excitedly congratulates Wood, amazed he caught such a huge creature. Blushing, Wood is flustered by the praise from Lady Thrills. Kella stares at the monstrous catch with apprehension, questioning if it's actually edible. Rin panics, fearing she's being outdone by the newbie again. Vowing to cook it deliciously, Rin tells Lord Kella not to worry and to rest while she prepares the meal. Rin panics, realizing she boasted about cooking the mole but now has no idea what to do. She struggles to cut the beast, complaining that its skin is too tough to even slice. Defeated, she considers just asking Lord Kella to prepare it for her. In her imagination, she sees Kella looking disappointed and Wood smirking at her failure. Kayak. She screams in horror at the thought of being seen as a disappointment. Suddenly, she remembers she has the new daggers Kella gave her. She recalls Kella's explanation that the daggers can focus her mana into a single point. Rin closes her eyes, concentrating and channeling a massive surge of purple magic into the blades. Her eyes snap open, filled with intense focus as her power gathers. Ah! She unleashes the attack but is shocked as the wild energy erupts uncontrollably. She grimaces, realizing the mana is spreading out instead of focusing, and the sword is draining her power. Damn. To her horror, she finds the magically stuck daggers won't come off her hands. She panics, knowing the rogue daggers will steal all of her mana if this continues. Meanwhile, Thrills studies the grimoire, noting it contains basic spells derived from the dungeon's nature. She finds it strange that she's never seen the words for these basic spells and can't fathom the creator's skill level. Poring over the text, her expression suddenly changes as she realizes something important. Ugh. Hearing a distant scream, Kella asks with alarm if something happened to Lin. Wood offers to investigate, but Thrills calmly stops him, saying to let Lin handle it herself. When Wood points out the scream, Thrills confidently brushes it off, saying she's just cooking. Kella looks to Thrills for confirmation and reluctantly agrees to wait. Struggling against the dagger's power, Rin desperately tries to think of a way to control them. She flashes back to Kella's training, remembering how he would get angry but never gave up. Determined to one day teach Kella herself, she had committed every single one of his lessons to memory. She focuses, deciding to search her memories for a way to control the dagger. A memory surfaces of an instructor explaining that a magic weapon is useless if the wielder lacks control. In the flashback, a stern instructor states that to handle a magic sword, one must first grasp its essence. Rin remembers paying close attention to the lesson. Another memory appears of an instructor explaining how to shape magic power to keep it from controlling the user. The instructor creates a form of pure fire, explaining that high concentration is key to shaping one's magic. Rin has an epiphany. She must match her magic's essence to the daggers, controlling its rampaging power by shaping it to the weapon's form. She realizes she can synchronize her magic's emission with the daggers, and the wild energy begins to conform. Ugh. She struggles, gritting her teeth and commanding the daggers to listen to her. With a furious cry, she declares herself the dagger's master. Her magic finally stabilizes, perfectly wrapping around the blades in a controlled aura. Wah! She screams with determination, yelling that she must succeed to protect Lord Kella from the White Tarkan. With a final, powerful effort, she drives the energized blades into the mole's hide. Ha! She pants heavily, exhausted but triumphant. Success. She looks down to see she has finally pierced the mole's skin. With a determined look, she prepares to butcher the beast, her magic now under her control. She realizes her power is no longer being drained, but is swirling stably around the daggers. Ha! She sighs in exhilaration, finally understanding the feeling of making a magic sword her own. Kella stands to check on her, but Thrills once again tells him to leave her be. The door flies open, and a proud Rin emerges with a tray of perfectly butchered meat announcing it's ready. Everyone is shocked she's already done, and Kella asks about the scream they heard. Rin nervously denies anything happened, but Wood points out that she's sweating profusely. Thrills compliments Rin's incredible speed, asking if she's naturally gifted at using sword chi. A confused Rin asks what she means. Thrills reveals the grimoire's entry on the ground mole, explaining they die above ground but have nigh invincible skin. Their skin is so tough, only powerful swordsmen who can wield sword chi are able to cut it. Stunned, Rin realizes the skin felt like steel because she unknowingly used master-level techniques to cut it. Wood praises Rin for being able to prepare the ground mole, but she tries to act cool, saying it was nothing. Kella gently praises Rin, telling her she did well, which makes her flustered. Smiling with his fangs showing, Kella says he'll enjoy the meal. Wump. A blushing Rin stammers in response, overwhelmed by Lord Kella's acknowledgement. Rin celebrates internally, overjoyed at being acknowledged, and vowing to keep getting stronger for Lord Kella's sake. Watching from afar, Thrills notes that Rin is growing on her own and realizes that she herself is the group's biggest weakness. She recalls her past failures, remembering how useless she was when fighting the Dark Tribe and in this dungeon. Scolding herself, Thrills dismisses her excuses and resolves to learn magic that's powerful in any situation. As her magical aura flares, her gaze falls upon the ancient grimoire. Meditating, Thrills focuses her power, remembering her father's final wish, entrusting Kella to her care. She thinks of a powerful, white-hooded woman named Curley, admitting she'd be helpless if Curley were to attack now. Thrills acknowledges the vast power gap, knowing she is only at the 4th circle while Curley has surpassed the 6th. Deciding she can't waste any more time, she materializes a dark magic stone, ready to use extreme measures to gain power. She identifies the artifact as the Dark Tribe's Black Light Stone, which grants power in exchange for lifespan, and accepts the cost to protect Kella. With firm resolve, she declares her willingness to sacrifice her own lifespan for her mission. Suddenly, the grimoire on the table begins to glow with a brilliant golden light. Startled, Thrills is shocked to see the grimoire activating on its own. She wonders if her magic power triggered the book as golden energy erupts from its pages. Chains of glowing runes, the very words she couldn't decipher, fly out of the book and swirl around her. The golden light from the runes intensifies into a blinding flash. Hyok! She gasps as the powerful energy washes over her. Her eye widens in shock and pain as she's consumed by the light. Thrills finds herself standing alone in a strange, crimson-hued dimension. Confused and disoriented, she stumbles forward, wondering where she is. A mysterious woman appears, identifying Thrills as the inheritor of the Demon Lord's power, who has reached her through reincarnation, making Thrills realize her father's magic activated the spellbook. Thrills demands to know who the figure is, and if she served her father, Demon Lord Hel Kalden. The woman denies serving Hel Kalden, leaving Thrills to question why the spellbook reacted to his magic. The figure explains she served the only god of this world, Turk Kalden. Thrills is horrified to hear the name of the former Demon Lord, which the woman calmly confirms. In disbelief, Thrills crumbles, unable to comprehend how fate could twist this way. The woman explains that their meeting is not coincidence, but the will of a pulsing timeline. Heartbroken, Thrills asks if this means Lord Turk Kalden was the one who created the dungeon. The woman confirms it, explaining they left traces across the world so that their successors could find true understanding. Thrills is struck by a powerful realization. Her arrival here was destined. She begs the figure for help, revealing her father was killed by humans, but the woman explains she is only a non-physical remnant of mana who can only assist Thrills, the one who activated her. Thrills grieves, finally accepting that her father is truly gone. Shifting her plea, she begs to be taught how to surpass the 4th circle to protect Kella, the descendant of Lord Turk. The woman approves of the direct request, but warns that surpassing the circle is a trial of individual skill alone. She describes the trial, an abyss filled with a deathly pain that consumes the body, which one must endure to advance. Thrills accepts the challenge, but the woman warns the pain will feel like 14 years in the real world, and failure means death. The finality of the word death echoes in her mind, her expression hardening with resolve. A vision of Kella, both in his current and more powerful form, flashes through her mind, strengthening her determination. Gritting her teeth, Thrills declares that her only purpose is to protect Kella and without that, her life is meaningless. Clutching her heart, she steels herself, declaring she will gladly accept any pain for her cause. Sensing her resolve, the woman agrees. The woman announces she will now tear apart all the magic Thrills has learned and casts a powerful deconstruction spell. GHK Thrills clenches her jaw as the spell begins to rip through her. Gah! She screams in agony as magical circles shatter her existing power. Gripped by a pain and fear she's never known, she resolves to endure it all to achieve her goal. The woman watches dispassionately, stating she will now see how long Thrills can last. Ah! Inside the Crimson Dimension, Thrills screams as her body is torn apart by unimaginable pain. Elsewhere, Kella worries about Thrills, noting her strange expression and that she's been gone all day while supposedly checking the dungeon. He's suddenly startled by a large, pulsating purple sphere that has appeared before him. Back in the trial, Thrill's body floats helplessly, racked by the agonizing deconstruction of her magic. Kella drops his food and rushes towards Thrills, now visible within the purple sphere, and asks in alarm what's happened to her. Reaching the sphere, he realizes with a jolt that it's a powerful barrier spell. He strikes the barrier with his sword, but his attack is violently repelled. Tisk. Kella grits his teeth, determined to break the spell quickly, and yells for Thrills to snap out of it. He screams her name in horror, seeing her unconscious and bleeding inside the impenetrable barrier. Far away, a Tarkan commander reports to a woman in a white hood that their unicorns have confirmed Kella's group is in this archipelago. As butterflies scout the area, they discover a staggering 427 islands, leaving the commander to wonder how they'll search them all. A white-haired man in a grand cape dismisses the concern, saying it's actually good they came here instead of staying on open land. He draws a glowing blue sword, calmly asking if they simply have to check all the islands. With a single swing, he unleashes a massive, sweeping blast of brilliant blue energy across the sea. The powerful energy wave crashes through the islands, searching the entire area in an instant. The Tarkan commander and another warrior watch, stunned by the incredible display of power. Curley looks on impassively, while a blue-haired boy beside her gasps in amazement. The white-haired man turns back, his search complete, and says, "All right then." He smiles confidently, announcing they will split up to pinpoint exactly where Kella is hiding. GRRK. Back at the dungeon, Kella desperately continues to strike the unyielding purple barrier. He's thrown back again, frustrated by the barrier's incredible hardness and realizing it won't break. He looks on helplessly as Thrills' bleeding continues, unabated inside the sphere. Kella panics, knowing he can't lose Thrills, and vowing to save her from whatever mage did this. Gasp. He suddenly freezes, sensing a new presence nearby. Looking around wildly, he hears a strange noise and wonders if it's an earthquake. On a nearby cliff, two strange owl-like birds with glowing purple eyes watch silently. One of the birds takes flight, soaring over the vast sea of islands. Its purple eye glows ominously as it scans the landscape below. The scene flashes to the white-haired man, Killian, standing in a desolate, fiery wasteland as the bird reports back. Deep back in the dungeon, an alarm blares from multiple magical devices, alerting Kella's group to an intruder. Kella is shocked to see a holographic alert from his warning stone. Beep, beep. He stares at the warning orb in disbelief as it signals that it has spotted people in white clothes. His face pales with dread as he realizes there's only one group it could be, the White Tarkan. He panics, fearing Thrills has already been taken down by Curley. Realizing it's all over, if they're found now, he knows they can't let things continue like this. He yells for Ren and Wood to get ready to hide in the bunker, much to Ren's confusion. Kella urgently explains that the White Tarkan is near the dungeon and they have to hide before he breaks in. Ren realizes the earthquake was their arrival, and Wood offers to go retrieve Thrills. Kella stops him, explaining that Thrills is likely already trapped by Curley's magic, shocking everyone. He orders them to evacuate first, relieved that they built a secret bunker in advance. The three of them sprint towards the hidden entrance, with Kella confident they won't be found inside. Kella and Wood slide into the hidden bunker entrance. With a heavy heart, Kella reaches out to seal the entrance, apologizing to Thrills and admitting there's nothing they can do now. A heavy, magically sealed lid slams shut, plunging them into the safety of the bunker. Above ground, Killian descends from the sky over a scorched landscape. He lands gracefully, his white cape billowing around him. He now stands before the entrance to the mountain dungeon. Killian sniffs the air, remarking on a disgusting stench of magic as his scout bird lands nearby. Beep, beep, beep. Inside the bunker, a small cat-like device alerts the group that the enemy has landed right at the dungeon entrance. Rin panics, realizing that a white-haired man can only be one person, Killian, the leader of the Tarkans. Inside the bunker, Kella glares defiantly, prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Killian stands at the dungeon entrance, startled, and questions if he's facing an illusion spell. Gripping his sword, he realizes with grim satisfaction that he has finally found their hiding place. A confident smirk crosses his face as he vows to see Kella very soon. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm blares as Kella panics, shouting that Killian has discovered the entrance. Pausing at the threshold, Killian's hand tightens on his glowing blade. He reconsiders his approach, deciding not to blow up the entire island for just a few demons, as it would attract unwanted attention. A spectral image of Kella appears behind him as he thinks about not handing them over to Deed. He steps through a magical grid, making his way into the dungeon's interior. Now inside, Killian clenches his fists and coldly vows to kill Kella's entire group himself. Beep, 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 Kella shouts in alarm, realizing the enemy has entered through the entrance. Deciding to launch a full-scale attack, Kella summons all the monsters inside the dungeon, activating a massive guardian. Killian finds himself facing a legion of mobilized golems and spiders. He calmly identifies the creatures as golems and treasure spiders, calling it an unexpected combination. With a single devastating slash of blue energy, he carves through the monstrous ranks. He stands poised, his sword radiating brilliant power after the strike. The dungeon's defenders are instantly annihilated in the attack's wake. Beep Kella stares in disbelief, stuttering that all the monsters were wiped out at once. He trembles, realizing they couldn't even stall him and that their foe is far stronger than he imagined. Killian looks on, entirely unfazed by the pathetic defense. He dismisses the failed ambush, saying it doesn't matter anyway. Another alarm shrieks as Kella realizes with horror that Killian has chosen the path leading directly to Thrills. The scene cuts to Thrills, unconscious and bleeding within the agonizing purple sphere. Elsewhere, another island burns in the aftermath of the Tarkans' search. Disk, an elf-like warrior with a massive axe, curses in frustration, reporting that her island is also a dead end. Curley drifts calmly on a magical boat amidst the fiery destruction, her butterflies scouting ahead. The glowing butterflies fan out, continuing their search across the scorched archipelago. The Tarkan commander reports to Curley that this island is another miss. Surrounded by a dark aura, the blue-haired boy also reports a dud, stating his desire to be the first one to find their targets. He smiles wickedly, determined to kill them himself before Captain Killian gets the chance. Back in the dungeon, Killian walks towards the pulsating sphere, trapping Thrills. He looks down at her battered form, his expression cold as he recognizes her. He quietly identifies the unconscious woman as the traitor of the Tarkan. A flashback begins, showing battered trainees looking on as young Killian stands victorious, his power on a different level. Tiesk, a boy named Kilmon, defiantly shouts that it's not over yet and lunges at Killian again. An instructor stops Kilman, scolding him for not understanding the massive power gap, despite being Killian's brother, and telling him to train for another 100 years. Arg. Kilmon screams in frustration and apologizes to his brother while young Killian watches stoically. Young Killian's expression remains cold and distant. From a balcony, he hears someone yell for a trainee named Thrills to give up. A young red-haired Thrills defiantly yells back that it's not over yet, continuing her fight. The memory focuses on Killian's face as he realizes his constant companion was you, Thrills. Young Thrills lunges forward, her face a mask of fierce determination. The memory shows their two faces, explaining that watching her always stirred something in him, but it was frustrating they couldn't train together. The instructor asks Killian if he wants him to deliver his magic allocation to trainee Thrills. After Killian says he has no use for it, the instructor notes Thrills is always getting hurt and expresses surprise that Killian cares for someone else. The instructor teasingly asks if Killian likes Thrills, but agrees to take the package as Killian looks away. As Killian walks off, the instructor calls him a boring guy. The memory fades with Killian thinking how loud Thrills always was. The instructor remarks on Killian's consistency, asking how many years he's been delivering medicine to her. The instructor suggests Killian deliver it himself this time, since he's leaving for a years-long expedition and won't see her again. Young Killian coldly agrees, telling the instructor to take care of delivering the medicine. The flashback ends with Killian recalling how Thrills would lament her losses, wishing she could have stood with him as a fellow white Tarkan. He remembers her defiant spirit, which made him forget her supposed bloodline of the Demon Lord. He wistfully recalls her wild, beast-like nature, which stirred his heart when they were younger. Returning to the present, he coldly judges that Thrills has been consumed by ambition beyond her talent. His hand tightens around his sword, his decision made. Killian prepares to strike, remarking that the twists of fate are always like being sliced by a blade. As he shatters the purple sphere with a single slash, the barrier shatters into glittering fragments as Thrills' body falls. Killian stands over her motionless form, the deed done. His expression remains cold and unreadable. Back in the bunker, Rin frantically urges them to save Thrills, but Kella explains that she's already trapped by an unbreakable barrier. Kella helplessly tells Rin and Wood that none of his attacks could even scratch the barrier. He panics, realizing his life force abilities may not work against a Tarkan, and that he could truly die this time. Stunned, Kella, Rin, and Wood all react in horror to this terrible realization. Back in the dungeon, Killian gently lifts Thrill's head, holding her for a moment. He then lets her fall back to the ground and turns to walk away. His face is once again a mask of cold indifference. In the bunker, Kella is filled with dread, realizing that Killian came alone, and that it's all over. Killian surveys the room, noting that the old dungeon shows signs of recent use. He calls out to Kella, knowing he's watching, and wanting to resolve this before other Tarkans arrive. Standing over Thrills, he issues an ultimatum. Come out now if you want to save your blood relative. Kella despairs, knowing they can't possibly handle Killian when they couldn't even defeat his subordinate, Curley. Rin declares there is only one option left and says she and Wood will distract Killian. She urges Kella to escape through a secret passage, but he refuses to run away alone. Rin and Wood insist, telling Kella that as the heir to the Demon Lord's bloodline, he must survive. Kella is horrified, realizing they intend to sacrifice themselves for him. Her aura flaring with power, Rin commands Lord Kella to remember their sacrifice and survive. Stunned and heartbroken, Kella is left speechless. The demon statue behind them shatters as Rin and Wood unleash their power. The two charge forward, vowing to make the White Tarkan pay for what he did to Lord Thrills. Killian looks on, bored, and comments that they were indeed hiding like bugs. Wood transforms into a hulking, beastly form and lunges forward. He yells for Lord Kella to run while they block Killian's view with their shields. Apologizing to his friends, Kella flees, summoning a massive roots to entangle his pursuers. As he runs for his life, he grimly accepts that this isn't a game with respawns. Rin watches him go, relieved that their plan worked, and Lord Kella has escaped. A brilliant blue energy blast cuts through the chaos. Kaya Killian's sword slices effortlessly through both Rin and Wood. With the two defeated, Killian calmly asks, "Where's Kella?" Defiant to the end, Rin bluffs that Lord Kella was never there. Wood is sent flying backward from the force of the attack. Killian effortlessly stops Wood's massive fist with one hand. He dismissively identifies them as demons and dark elves, asking if this is the extent of their power. Killian easily parries Rin's attack, leaving her stunned and defenseless. He strikes Wood with a swift, powerful blow. Wood smashes into a wall, his shield absorbing some of the impact. Killian chokes the life from Wood, who desperately thinks they need to stall for more time. With a sword at her throat, Rin screams that it's useless and they'll never reveal Kella's location. Killian coldly replies that he never asked, noting it just makes things easier if Kella appears on his own. And if not, Killian threatens coolly, his eyes glowing with menace, he'll just kill them all. Rin recoils in absolute terror, thinking his eyes are terrifying, unlike anything she's seen even among other demons. She realizes with horror that his gaze is completely devoid of emotion, like a void with nothing inside. Wood chokes and gags as Killian maintains his crushing grip. The blade at Rin's throat draws blood as she winces in pain. Overwhelmed by fear, Rin trembles, admitting to herself that she's scared and doesn't want to die. A vision of a smiling, younger Kella appears, reminding her of who she is fighting for. Her fear turning to defiance, Rin shouts that she's not afraid to die if it's for Lord Kella. Wood tearfully echoes her sentiment, telling Killian to kill him because Kella isn't there. Killian notes Kella's name, remarking on the surprising loyalty of his subordinates. Raising his hand, Killian decides to grant them the honor of dying instantly as Ren and Wood brace themselves for the end. Suddenly, a blue streak cuts through the air as a new arrival questions who is there. It's Kella, who has returned and angrily challenges Killian for calling his friends subordinates. Killian calmly turns, his glowing sword ready, and says, "There you are, Kella." Stunned, Rin and Wood look on in disbelief, asking why Lord Kella came back for them. Kella grits his teeth, remembering his earlier realization that this isn't a game and once you die, that's it. In a brief flashback, he remembers traveling and fighting, alongside Thrills, Rin, and Wood. He clenches his jaw, realizing they're not just followers, they're his friends.